Yun. And we are live. What is up, everybody? How you all doing? Welcome sa aming show, Kaka Komputer Mo Yan, where we discuss about news, issues, histories, and inquiries about video games and the video game industry. If you are not watching us live, you can still listen to the audio format of our show exclusively here in Wakalas Radio. Wakalas Radio, of course, also hosts other podcast shows under Wakalas Productions, not only this one. You can catch Wakalas Radio in Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, TuneIn, Castbox, and Breaker. Joining us live in this special extravaganza of our live stream podcast show, Mr. RPG Silagan, Mr. RV Lagahit Ramos, and introducing, for the first time ever, the guys of Hype Control.
Yo!
What's up?
Hi,
Mr.
guys.
Phil and Mr. John. Hello sa iyo. Guys.
Hello. Good evening, mga sir. Thank you for having us in yung very informative and hype up na podcast.
First time ko po dito, di ko po alam ginagawa.
Hindi ko nga po alam pinagsasabi ko.
Alright. Now, sa totoo lang guys, last week on our show, we had Tito Jobs. So we introduced Tito Jobs last time and we talked about a lot of things in regards to the PlayStation 1 and our fondest memories of the PlayStation 1. And with all of his generosity, of course, he brought us 3 out of 4 the crew members of Hype Control. Unfortunately, Sir June cannot be here due to internet and technical difficulties. So we got Sir John and Sir Phil, Sir John and Sir Phil, and of course Tito Jobs representing Hype Control, the number 1 video game podcast show in the Philippines at the moment. Tama po ba? Am I right?
Questionin niyo.
Number 1.
All right. So before we in this very special program, so we're going to introduce the guys of High Control. We're just gonna ask them a few questions in regards to their gaming history, and then we will proceed with our topic discussions of the night. So I'll just go first. Could you please, mga sirs, the trio here, right here with us, could you introduce yourselves to our audience listening out there?
Ako muna, I'm Tito Jobs. Bow, yun lang. Kasi na-introduce ko yung sarili ko last week eh. So, bigyan ko na ng time yung dalawa. Ayan. Go.
Okay, I'm John Busayko. I'm also known as The V. So yun po yung personal brand ko. I'm a professional voiceover artist and I do VOs for a living. However, due to me meeting Tito Jobs a few years back, na-involved na rin sa, anything and everything video games. I wanted to be a streamer back in a few years back, pero hindi naging prosperous. So now through Tito Jobs Productions, I'm hoping na makapag-contribute ako through yung gaming know-how ko. And then as well as engage in, anything and everything video games. So currently, I'm enjoying my stay as part of the team na, talking about video games for what we do. I mean, that's siguro for the rest of our lives naman. We were gamers. So, yun lang po.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Ay, sige. May segue ba? Anyway, I'm Uncle Phillips, Tristan, ang totoong real name, but I go by the alias or handling name, Uncle Phillips. And then, nakilala ko, actually, I'm more connected kay V. We go way back in like family friends, and then since bata-bata pa kami in our 20s, nagkakilala na kami, and then yun nga, in-introduce ako ni V or ni John kay, actually hindi nga ako sanay na tawagin John. or V kay Tito Jobs, and then yun nga, since I'm also like a gamer nung bata ko, since naging OFW yung daddy ko, I was early introduced into video gaming's MSX. Yung early
What?
MSX.
MSX. Kala ko kung ano.
MSX and Atari. And then yun nga,
MSX.
since 80s something ni-release yun. The next one is yung ano na,
Microsoft nun.
family computer and then SNES and then so on na hanggang ngayon na. PS4 pa lang naman din. Si Tito Jobs lang ang may PS5 sa amin. But soon,
We're hoping.
ano tayo. Katulad nga na pinag-usapan natin kahapon sa Hype Control. Hindi pa advisable
Yeah.
bumili.
Well, just to let you guys know how me and V met. Kasi syempre, alam naman natin yung si V at saka si Uncle Phillips. Bata pa lang sila, naglalaro sa Sapa, walang salawal. Magkaibigan na sila. So, syempre kami, ni V, nag-meet kami on a convention on when we were hosting the Ragnarok Journey show in
Glorieta.
in Glorieta. So we were hosting live dun sa mismong vicinity, both on stage and also off stage. Kasi off stage meaning kasi merong online version yung show. So we were hosting that show as it at Game Ako. And then they met us. So sabi niya, he was dreaming daw na sana at some point daw gawin mangyari sa kanya na he was hosting a certain like gaming event daw. Sa loob-loob ko, first time din namin yun eh. Medyo nervous nga kami nung time na yan. Pero actually nga, in fairness naman, yung feedback niya was, yeah, we were doing well daw. Then, he kept around on my friends list and also after I went out of Game Ako. So parang, and eventually, at some point, I kind of asked him, voice actor nga pala to. I really like podcasts kasi podcasts when they have really good voices on it. So, I kind of like, parang niligawan ko ng konti si Vin. Bulaklak, tsokolate, bopis, gano'n.
Controller.
Wow! Wala ka, hanap ka. Nagsha-shopping ka na ba dito sa Koto? Joke lang. Yun, so, medyo niligawan ko and then like I convinced him to be part of Hype Control, the first episode. So, yeah, dun start yung Hype Control talaga. Kasi before this Hype Control, we had Champorado and that didn't work out because of scheduling conflicts, of expertise on the subject matter. And then I found V, who's also kind of like sa video games. So I brought him in and yun, history na lang after nun. And we were number 1 daw, sabi ng iTunes. Ayan.
Number 1.
So yeah, that's the story of Hype Control.
Alright. Sa totoo lang guys, I was there in their show yesterday and we talked about the history of the PlayStation from 1 to 5, and it was such an engaging discussion, and we all had some compelling arguments on why the PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5, their ups and downs in regards to their history and their marketing. It was such a wonderful discussion. I implore you guys to, if you haven't watched that show, go please search Hype Control on Facebook. You'll not regret. If you're very into gaming, especially with PlayStation, please go on ahead, check out the replay of that podcast show yesterday. Just go to Facebook and search for Hype Control. You'll find it there.
Yeah.
Ako po munang, I'll just ask the first questions. In regards to Sir Phil and si Sir John, either of you can answer this first. Ano po yung naging influences po ninyo on why you became a gamer in the first place?
Yeah, ako like katulad ng sinabi ko sa intro ko, no. Yung dad ko kasi noon is parang hindi naman parang OFW. Na-assign lang siya sa anong tawag dito? Nakalimutan ko ng bansa. Sorry, Daddy.
Saudi, Czechoslovakia,
Somewhere
How old were you?
Kuwait.
Ilan taon kayo? Ilan taon?
Ilan taon ka naman?
Like 2?
2 years old.
Nalala mo yung 2 years old.
Ibang klase, bro.
Hindi, syempre, kwento na lang mami ko, si Daddy pumunta ng Kuwait, ng Tuka, di ba? And then ever since until mga 8 yata ako or 10, nandun siya. And then, syempre, mag-isa siya doon. So, bumili siya ng, yun at that time na yon around 86, gano'n. Yung nga, yung MSX.
Mhm.
And then, nung umuwi siya, inuwi niya rin yung ano na yun.
Mga gadgets niya.
Yeah,
no?
so, doon na nagsimula. Yung, kayo, may Atari rin siya. Inuwi
Wait,
niya.
so you mentioned MSX, ibig sabihin nun, meron ka Metal Gear nung time na yan?
Wala. Pero meron ako nung Penguin Adventure, which
Yung
later,
Kojima.
which later I found out na Hideo Kojima game pala
Yung
siya.
kauna-unahin yung game.
Yeah,
So,
Penguin Adventure. Ayun. And then after that, syempre, yung pagkatapos nun, yun na, nauso na yung family computer. Yun, bumili na rin kami. And then SNES. And then of course, yung PlayStation.
Wait, sira na yung Penguin Adventure mo. Sorry, collector's head.
I think wala na yan.
Damn it. Hihingin ko sana. Collector's instinct lagi.
Alam ko buhay siya kung hindi lang kami na ondoy nun.
Gamit. Sa club.
Talagang doon pa siya na ano.
Kasi naka namin yung mga cartridges nun eh. Natabi
damn it.
namin yung mga... So yung mga early Konami games, yung
Famicom, Atari niya, no? Yikes.
mga namin. Kings Valley, yun yung mga laro nun na Konami. Kings Valley, Hyper Rally. Actually, yung Gradius nga doon, Nemesis yung pangalan niya sa MSX.
Okay.
Yan.
Mamahig sa MSX ng Konami, no? MSX. every time I say it really fast.
MSX.
It sounds different.
It sounds so different. Anyway, go.
For me, I started since nabanggit naman ni Uncle Phillips na back in his childhood days. Ako rin when my mom went to Singapore, ang uwi naman niya sa akin is yung NES. So yun yung unang console ko ever since the world began. And I'd remember yung mga moments na you blowing on the cartridge, tapos punong-puno ng tsokolate yung loob at kumakain ako ng tsokolate. And then family computer. Fondest memories when in my childhood was playing this game Iron Sword, I think by Acclaim. Hindi ko siya matapos-tapos for the love of God. And then Double Dragon. Fast forward to the modern day, like when we were talking about Sony, PlayStation, I'd have to say ang pinaka ko talagang influence when I got into video games would have to be the Metal Gear Solid series. Yeah. Metal Gore. Kaya I was so into MGS na nagkaroon kami ng special ng Hype Control na discussing all about the Metal Gear Solid series. Kaya yun, I guess yun yung pinaka-influence ko when I got into gaming. And per se, when I have moved to my professional career as a voice actor, yung pa rin, dala ko pa rin yung influence ni David Hayter. Kept you waiting, huh?
Alright.
Kaya siguro na-influence ko na maging voice actor na.
Yeah, I guess so. David Hayter. Yun talaga.
He's gonna hate.
Alright. Thank you for that, Sir Phil and Sir John. RV, do you have any questions for the guys?
Yeah, I think tatanong ko na to kay Tito Job. So, sa dalawang poging guys, tatanong ko na to. Ano yung pinaka-favorite yung game on your collection and why?
Game.
Tito Jobs' collection.
Umipitas-pitas na lang kami dito.
Mangga ba? Puno ng mangga. Hindi, ako na-setback din ako kasi hindi ko alam kung ano yung best na gusto ko. Pero, first thing that comes into mind, yun na lang.
For us ba? For us ba, guys? Oh, okay. Well, ayun nga, aside from, I guess wala naman ibang kundi MGS. I was also a big fan of Assassin's Creed. So, isa sa mga pinaka, cherished games sa collection ko, per se. So, Assassin's Creed, yung buong series.
Kaya kumpleta mo. Nice. So, kahit
Really?
yung mga...
From the very original PS3 up to now?
Yes, actually Xbox 360, sir. Yung first,
my God.
si Altair. So, and then yung Ezio trilogy, and then Black Flag, even to sa nung nag-jump na ako to PC. Because PC Master Race 60 FPS, yo.
Of course.
Ito na nga pala yung last kong appearance.
Ikaw, Ryan.
Ako naman sa akin, well, it's pretty recent, pero para kasing yun ang gusto kong direction na napupunta ng video games, Red Dead Redemption 2. Kasi, well, alam naman natin, di ba, yung mga next gen na ano, like for example, si Horizon Zero Dawn, si Spider-Man Miles Morales. Feeling ko kasi parang recycled ano lang siya nung mga predecessor nila with better graphics. Pero kasi itong si Red Dead, parang, oo, maganda yung graphics niya, pero nai-utilize niya kasi yung power nung ano nung console. No? Hindi lang siya basta paganda na ng paganda yung graphics, pero yung ginagawa mo, pareho at pareho lang din. Diba? Although, syempre, medyo makukumpara mo siya sa RDR1, saka sa mga GTA, pero yung nadadagdagan nila yung parang, yung freedom mo dun sa game, which is parang, syempre, kaya ka nga play ng video games para mapunta yung sarili mo parang sa into an alter reality.
Ma-immerse.
Give this to ate, sabihin mo, may kausap mo. Hindi ako nakamute, sorry.
Sorry naman po. We are special mention nga pala kina Shadow Key Zone na nagsasabi, Tetris lang daw, masaya na raw siya. And of course, Mamo Chu, hell yes, MGS. And according to him, it's a follow-up question. Question sa fan ng MGS, who are the Patriots? Dapat
basa ko
alam niya
na
ang
agad
sagot
kanina.
pa.
It's the Lalulu Lelo, whose name shall not be mentioned. Actually, mga AI-based organism sila na wala naman silang form or anything, as far as I can remember from MGS4.
All right.
Yeah.
MGS4
You heard it here. Napaka-legit niyang answer na.
Pero baka naging spoiler ba ako dun? Ito na nga pala yung last
No,
one.
that's fine. Sabi ni Mama Chu, well said. Fan nga yan. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, RPG sila agad.
Sana kami rin. Anyway. Ayan.
Actually, I'm a bit tipsy right now kasi I had friends come over para ilang Red Horse. Pero I can relate with dun sa about Tetris. Tetris lang, okay na ako kasi alam mo, isang struggle for us gamers, especially in our age. Me, I have kids, is relating to people na who's not into gaming, who's not liking what we like. So that's one of my struggle, having friends na hindi gamer. So kayo guys,
Alright.
how do you approach this type of people as a gamer and a collector? Yan, yun na lang question ko.
Vin Phillips, narinig mo yung question?
How do you approach yung mga
Hindi gamer.
non-gamers?
Non-boomers, that's your friends.
Oh,
It's not into
okay lang naman
collecting,
yun.
mga ganyan.
Sinasampal po namin. Joke lang.
Actually naman kasi parang yung mga taong not into gaming, may iba rin naman silang passion eh. Like for example, karamihan ng mga ibang friends ko, di ba, into basketball, sneakers collection. Eh ako wala, isang pares lang ng sapatos ang meron ako. Sinubukan ko mag-basketball, wala. Ako yung naging bola eh. Pero naintindihan ko, pero sila kumbaga tayo, like yesterday, di ba? Kaya natin mag-usap for hours and hours of video games. Sila, yung galing-galing ni Lebron, si Kyrie, ewan ko, hindi ko alam pangalan nun. Di ba? Yeah, Kyrie Irving, ewan ko, what the hell?
Kyrie Minogue.
Kyrie Minogue, di ba?
What is basketball?
Ako rin naman nalileft out din naman ako pag ano. So, ako, collector din ako. Hindi ko naman sila i-influensyahan nila. Mag-Gundam, mag-collect ng Gundam. Pero, sneakers, di ba? Kung ako, willing ako gumastos ng 10,000, 15,000 for a single item of, alam mo, Gundam na kit, willing silang gumastos ng 15,000 for a Jordan kicks naman.
Talagang grabe yung mga splurge ng for one item.
Yeah.
So, respect na lang sa ano.
I mean, at sa games kasi, di ba, malaki yung box na makuha mo eh. Or sa Gundam, di ba? Pero pag yung sa sneakers, ang nyek, no? Wala yan.
Kasi di ba pag card naman eh.
Ha?
Pag card naman, di ba, Magic or Pokemon.
Oh yeah, that's another
true,
thing.
that's
It's a magic card. So,
Booster pack or starter deck, maliit lang. Mas maliit yung box na kukuha ko.
Ako pag may non-gamer ako na friend, tapos I am a gamer.
Unfriend.
Invest yung ginawa ko ganyan, joke lang. Unfollow. Ako pag may mga gamer friends ako, hindi ko naman sila pinipilit. They just notice it on my feed, they notice it on my page, actually, some of them, they don't know that I have a page. And when they finally know, gamer ka pala. Parang may eye of discrimination. Gamer ka pala. Ganun. Anyway, pero when I encounter, gamer ko, and I just got my PS5. Kasi yun lang, boom.
Boom. Gamer ako. What about it? All right.
What about it?
Exactly.
So I love my PS5, so what about it? Pero kidding aside, pag hindi gamer yung friend ko, tapos may eye of discrimination. So yung saya, kasi I used to, sasabi ko, kasi ang lagi ng dialogue, kasi I used to love books and gadgets. So I love stories, I love gadgets, also playing with them. And somehow gaming had them both. So it's a combination of books and gaming and then gadgets. So why not? So I kind of got obsessed with it. So yun lang nasasabi ko. And then somehow they kind of like got attracted to it. So ano yung mga game na nilalaro mo? Dota ba? Ragnarok pa talaga yun. Ang luma-luma talaga. so talaga, kasi diba since I love stories, I really love games that have real good adult stories in them. Not necessarily mature, but adult stories. Alam natin yan.
Right.
Akala ko ibang adult-oriented ba? And sa rating, di ba may AO?
Tama-tama, Galgan lalabas this week eh.
Alright. So, ako po, I would go with same with Tito Jopes. Same din. Kasi I'm fortunate enough to have friends who are more, mas open na, I guess. What I would say, mas into gaming na rin or na-expose na sila. Unfortunately, with the advent of mobile gaming, yan, so medyo aware na rin sila, but the thing is, I still have to really explain sa kanila. No, pagka sinabi ko kasing gaming, ano ka mo, ML ka rin, ML, and ganyan sa rank.
Dota,
so I have to explain to them that same with Tito Jopes, yun din yung explanation ko. The same way that how people enjoy movies and good reads sa mga books, ganun din ako. I really love playing games that have a very entailing story. Yung mga medyo mahaba, ubos oras. Talagang I really breathe in so yung environment, yung storya nung laro. It has come to a point that same with si Sir, anong pangalan ni Sir?
Jonas.
No, the one who said about Tetris. Isa sa mga host natin. Sir
RPG.
Sir, yan. Yan, opo. Ang nangyayari na ngayon, di ba, parang because, life happens, ang nangyayari is, ang hirap na minsan yung magkaroon ng time, ng legitimate na oras para i-enjoy mo yung hobby mo. Ako pa naman minsan, yung kakaano ko yung parang tweak ko muna, kailangan gusto ko 60 FPS, kailangan gusto ko max yung graphics, ganyan. O yung inaayos ko yung stream. Biglang pagdating nung maglalaro na ako, mag-enjoy na ako, mga 15 minutes, tas ayaw ko na, tama na yan. parang in-enjoy mo lang, medyo ni-rotate mo lang yung camera, ganda talaga nito. Okay, next time na ulit. Parang gano'n lang.
What I really find it strange, syempre magkaka-batch naman din tayo. During at the time of during the 90s, tayo mga kabataan nun, we were so indoctrinated with the very idea of Nintendo's family computer. The red and the white. And
yes.
After family computer, each of all of the children of the 90s biglang nag-segregate on doing their own thing. And then only a few na mga talagang mga gamers of the time reverted to Sega and then PlayStation and so on.
Sega.
However, their friends, they all focus on their own thing. Kaya nga kung tatanungin natin ang mga kabatch natin ngayong Generation X, they will, if we're going to ask them what are their earliest gaming experience, sasabihin nila is what? Mario, Tetris, Game & Watch. Very very basic Nintendo Nintendo gaming lang din. So at least kahit paano there's still this common ground pa rin, even with the most jaded or the most mature individual that we have. There's always that one thing in common back in the day sa mga bata pa tayo.
Pag mature ako lagi. Tinap ako nung narinig yung word na mature, ako tinap. Ako lagi.
Alright. So, RPG, do you have any other follow-up questions with our guest right here?
Wala, na-curious lang ako kay Sir John kung ano yung vino-voice over niya.
Right.
Well, karamihan po ng mga bino-voice over ko, sir, yung mga commercials po, mostly mga YouTube videos. Pinaka-recent latest ko na ano is yung Chowking commercial. New Chowking ready to cook. Easy to cook, ready to enjoy. Bring home your Chowking favorites now. Yung mga ganyan. Yung mga nakita nyo mga pesting ads sa YouTube video na ini-skip nyo. Yung mga,
Ikaw yan, sa yan.
yung mga ganun, yung mga Palmolive, yung mga ganun, may Palmolive Easy Men Shampoo. Mga ganun.
Alright. Alright. Mamaya po after ng before we do a commercial break, papasample lang natin sila. Gagawin natin yung ad commercial nila sa Hive Control. Papagawa natin kay Sir John. Para masampulan natin ng isang diretso as a as a interpromotional lang din ng Hive Control while they're still here sa Kaka Komputer Mo Yan. Later on po yan. Sir RV, any more questions to our guest right here?
Okay na ako.
All right. Okay, so we will proceed with our first topic of the night para makarami po tayo. So, our first topic would be console modding. So, console modding, so basically console modifying the consoles. Arguably, some people say console modding started back with the NES when they started doing the those peripheral cartridges that were made by Tengen, that peripheral na i-clip mo lang dun sa cartridge ng Tengen games para ma-accept lang ng NES because apparently Tengen have this not really backwards compatibility, but they're trying to make sure that they're going to override the rabbit chip of the NES. So they reverse engineered the NES, nung borrowed yung patent ng NES sa patent office. They reverse engineered that and then they had a workaround against the rabbit chip kaya nagkaroon sila ng parang peripheral na i-add lang dun sa Tengen games and then i-play na siya ng NES. Some people say it started from there. Some argued na it started back during the late 70s and the early 80s when ColecoVision had this peripheral para magkaroon ka na para malaro mo ang Atari 2600 games.
Yeah.
So, sa ating panel right here, ano ang masasabi nyo in regards to console modding? Is it good? Is it bad for the gaming industry? Or does console modding should be a thing pa rin all throughout across the board? RPG Silagan, let's start with you. Nakamute ka, kapatid.
Wait lang, sorry naman. So, depends sa, alam mo, I've been doing modding rin at the same time. Pero hindi in terms of getting the games free na hindi natin makuha. So, kasi we have terms na when you say modding, it's just to acquire some games na wala tayo. Parang ganun, di ba? Pero kasi, there are advantages and disadvantages. So, especially with old games na sobrang mamahal na ng value ngayon. So, it can be advantageous because you have the power of the internet to actually get hold of certain games na hindi mo ma-imagine na parang some games are really expensive and really hard to find. So, modding is good in terms of sa ganong situation. So, at the same time, I actually do my modding. I have to be honest, sabi ko kina RV na, naku, baka hindi ako makarelate dito. Wala akong alam sa mga modding. So, ito na lang ang i-feature ko. So, I mod.
Oyo, ay, ang cute. Can you see this, guys?
Nice.
I do some mods. So, this is PlayStation 1.
Ay, cute. Yeah, yung sa RGB dati. Cute.
Yeah, so, yeah, so I know how to. This is my way of modding. so I modify. Pero when it comes to mga chips, ito yung recent. It's a Kirby.
Nice. Oh, di ba?
Cool.
SFC.
Yeah. So I'm trying to explore. So I'm doing window mode at the same time. LED. lighting mode, pero kasi medyo natripan ko yung magpintura, maglagay ng mga pero modding for me, it's okay. Pero kasi meron mga collectors na medyo napapataas kilay about piracy, mga ganyan. Pero personally, um, kasi yung panahon ngayon, sobrang hirap na maka-access ng ganito. If you're passionate about a certain game, pero sobrang mahal naman, and it's not like yun lang ang expenses natin. So, I had my console mod para lang ma-access yung mga ganong klaseng games na. Kasi alam mo ang daming games ngayon, OA ang ang OA yung price niya, yung value. So if you're not really into that game but you wanted to experience the fun, so I okay
So
lang.
if you're just going to use it as a personal kung personal leisure mo lang naman, it's okay.
Yeah. Because
Alright.
I understand some collectors they medyo alam mo yun, especially with some of our colleagues in RGCP na talagang purely mga purists sila. Well,
Mga
not
purista.
all but some, pero yeah.
Alright. How about you, Sir Phil? Ano naman po ang inyong masasabi in regards to console modding? Are you are you more of a yung inner modding or yung outer katulad ng ginagawa ni Sir RPG Silagan? Ano po ang inyong histories or any knowledge about console modding?
Di sa akin, since yung akala ko kasi when you speak of modding, ano lang yung parang hardware mismo yung babaguhin mo, di ba? Yung parang, yung i-jailbreak mo, gano'n, or para ma-access mo yung mga ibang games na previously hindi mo malaro. Pero yung nakita ko kasi yung parang ginawa ni Sir, RJ?
RPG.
RPG. RJ. Si RJ. RPG na na pwede rin pala dun sa aesthetics, no? Since ako rin ginagawa ko rin yon, since lalo na especially nga yung katulad ng sabi ko kanina na nagagandam ako, nagkaroon na ako ng knowledge regarding plastics, materials ng plastic na ginagamit, ano yung what works with great anong pintura or anong material ang nag-work with na hindi masisira yung plastic or yung kaha na ginamit doon sa game. So, I think okay lang naman siya kasi yung sa akin nun, yung PS2 ko nun, hindi siya, syempre, nakahiga siya, di ba? So, parang dinikitan ko siya ng mga stuff sa kasi wala akong pambili ng stand nun eh.
Booksta na ginamit nyo?
Parang yung mga recycle na plastic ng ice cream, tapos pag didikit-dikitin mo siya para kumapal siya. And then para ikakabit mo siyang
Struggle PS2 stand ang tawag natin. Struggle.
Well, siyempre, after ilang years, siyempre, with the knowledge of materials na nga na ginagamit for modding externally, pintura, ganyan. And then, siyempre, may nakapag-invest na rin ako sa mga gamit. Siyempre, mas maganda na yung itsura ngayon ng mga mods ko. And then, sa hardware, okay lang naman din sa akin eh. Pero hindi ko siya ginagawa kasi takot ako wala ng warranty yung
Void yung warranty.
Pwede.
yung machine ko eh. Pero if you can, then why not? Basta you adhere lang with wag ka naman yung minod mo tapos sira mo tapos makikipag-away ka dun sa store na hindi, balik niyo to sa dati yung sinira ko, balik niyo sa dati. Parang gano'n.
Alright. RV, out of all of us here, ikaw, mas kilala mo ang mga members ng RGCP in regards to console modding. Maraming mga nagbebenta sa groups natin and other gaming Facebook groups out there. What can you say about console modding? Are you pro? Are you anti? Or depends?
Ako personally, I'm pro ako sa modding. Especially there are two types of mod. There are soft mod and hard mod.
Yes.
Soft mod means you will modify your console without breaking the warranty or the warranty seal of the console. You can mod the console by software means. unlike sa hard mode, you have to disassemble the unit to install a mod chip, something like that. So sa ano, during the modding sa PS1, we have so-called swap magic. So
Oh
for instance,
yeah. So,
Panalo yung swap magic na.
yeah,
This one.
nauso yan before eh. Lalo na kung meron kang ano, tawag dito, yung parang action replay. Yung
Yes.
ginagamit siya sa mga first model ng PS1 where you have to install it on the back, then patatakbuhin mo yung action replay, then stop mo yung ano, yung burn copy mo ng ano, PS1. That's one thing that soft mode is used. Sa PS2 naman, before they are using dongle, if I'm not mistaken, then they introduced mod chip, especially sa mga Matrix, kung tawag.
Matrix.
So they are capable of course, reading other games like Japan, kung US yung call mo or vice versa. Ngayon, ito lagi ko didiscuss kay RPG to. Sa PS2, there's a soft mode na where you can read burn copy of your PS2. Wow, nice.
Sige lang, go lang, Arby.
Ayan.
Huwag mo akong pansinin.
Ayun. Sa PS2 kasi lalo na sa soft mode, maraming kang pwedeng gawin. Up until now, there's some development actually for doing pairing with the PS3 or Pro controller. Ngayon share ko na siya dun sa PS2 group. And may mga nakapag-try naman, yun, successful naman yung pairing. Sa iba naman, like for example sa Wii, I did also a soft mod, pero they're high risk of breaking the console, lalo na kung hindi mo kabisado yung
mag-break. Yes.
Medyo complicated siya kasi iba yung hardware structure ng Nintendo consoles like 3DS unlike
Right.
sa PS2 kasi parang madali siya since mas pinag-uusapan siya sa mga developers.
Right. Okay. Thank you, RB, for that. How about you, Sir John? Ano yung masasabi mo in regards to console modding, and why do you think people do it?
Sir, personally, I'll say I'm a yes then for pro hard and soft mod, because we like everything hard and soft, right? Come on,
yeah.
guys. No, just kidding.
Para mas fun.
Alam niyo, sir, actually magpapasalamat ako for guesting me or allowing us to be in this episode. Kasi for the longest time, my mouth is shut whenever we talk about here in Hype Control about their games and all, and they're like, oh, lumabas na yung ganitong and then I'm like keeping my mouth shut because kasi yung jailbreak ng PS4 ko, and then I'm like quiet for the longest time. Hindi ako makapag-share sa kanila.
It's your time to shine.
So yeah,
Purist to the highest level ba sila? Gusto talaga nila
hindi naman, no, of course not. I mean, all the guys of Hype Control are like halo-halo naman po kami in terms of influence, and I really respect them. And siguro lang I'd have to say all out na ever since naman the early days in my gaming talaga. Although there are really games that I really have to buy. Alam mo may mga ganun lang talaga na games. I'm not I'm not promoting piracy or anything because there are people na kanya-kanya namang case yan. I'd have to agree with Sir RBG na I guess may mga games talaga na maybe
Really
absurd yung price, but I have come to this conclusion na rin na lalo na ngayon with the advent of Steam, nowadays there's no more reason for you to really pirate games Inabutan niyo pas naman siguro yung mga DVD ang bilangan, ilang discs yan na ganyan, yung installer. Pag bili mo yung disc 3 of 6 sira, babalikan mo biglang wala ng kopya. Yung ganong issue with the advent of Steam. Di ba?
Sir, ibang game na lang, sir.
Iba yun. Bad trip pa yun. Sir, iba na lang. Wala nang kasing ganito. Bad trip yun. And I remember that very vividly. That's what forced me to really buy yung mga originals ko, like the God of War collection, MGS2. Because every time I go back, MGS2, when I get to the part nung kay Raiden, game breaking talaga siya. Pag narinig ko na yung laser ng PS ko na, ay po, wala na. Sabi ko, so talagang hinanap ko yun, and then I bought the unoriginal copy, and yun, natapos ko yung game because of that. So I'd have to say na from the earliest days naman, halo eh. And respect din sa Sir Fraser RBG, yung hard, yung physical, yung more on hard modding. Yes, I've done my fair share of that back in the Xbox 360 days. I remember, wala akong, no, not JTAG, as in case. I remember because of the 3 red rings, and I was working in Microsoft then, sobrang pregnant doon. I actually have 5 Xbox 360s, 3 of them red ringed. Yung isa, yung nagkaroon ng problema sa HANA chip, hindi na na-repair. Yung pinaka-last ko before I transitioned to PS4 was the Slimline. So yung una-una kong ever, I bought that on my 13th month because takot na takot ako sa 3 red lights. Wala akong Dremel. So lahat yun, mano-mano ko. Yung ginawa ko, binarenahan ko yung ilalim para naka-expose yung X-clamp, and then I put on lights. Hindi pa uso ang RGB lights noon, yung mga single light pa lang na blue, ang dim ng ilaw. So sinalpakan ko na maraming fan yun, tapos wala pa rin, nag-red ring pa rin siya. Pero it lasted me siguro mga I love that. It lasted me mga siguro more than a year naman na medyo hardcore, minsan mga 12 hours non-stop with the likes of Gears of War and everything else. Pero yun, nag-red ring pa rin siya. Para sa akin, nung mga time na when I was modding, I was doing my modding, I was more into yung practicality of usage rather than yung aesthetics. As in, mukha talaga siyang Frankenstein yung console ko, ang pangit. Hindi mo siya maidadala sa, may mga party gaming na sabi, di ba may Xbox ka? Hindi, sa bahay lang siya. Tapos nakakabit yung fan ko sa power supply ng PC na nilagyan ko lang ng paperclip. And then fast forward up till now sa PC, when I transitioned to PC, nadala ko yung ganong mindset ko. I had a custom all-in-one water loop sa graphics card ko. And then as much as a lahat ng tao, sinasabi nila ayaw nila na ganunin yun kasi dapat daw yung mga the RAM chips and everything else, the power delivery, so it's supposed to have cooling. Wala na akong pakialam. Basta yung die, sinalpakan ko nung all-in-one, and then tinapatan ko ng mga fan. Okay naman, hindi naman nade-dead siya hanggang ngayon. Goods naman yung temperatures ko. So I have to say, for now, I have to say it's a yes for me for hard and soft mod. Not more than just the piracy, it's because of the practicality of usage. And siguro to end yung part ko. For my PS2, when I had it modded kay Sir kanina, nakalimutan ko yung name
RPG?
No, the other guy.
RV.
Yes, Sir Ron?
Original?
No,
Original.
no.
Sir RV. Si RV?
Sir RB, yeah. Sorry.
RV.
I did the soft mod for the PS2 before I sold it, si Free MC Boot. Ayan, nagawa ko pa yan si Free MC Boot because of me wanting to have the ES media player for me to watch MKV movies. So ginawa ko yan. It's just for the practicality of use. Dahil hindi mo magagawa yon sa legit, yung built-in na player niya, DVD lang eh. So I was proud to do that. Back then I was using a 256 MB USB stick from CDR King. Nagawa ko yung Free MC Boot, and then yun, copy-copy na lang. So yun lang.
Oh.
Ako
Alright, thank you for sharing dyan, Tito John. How about
I
you,
just
Tito
wanna-
Japet? What can you tell us about console modding?
Wait
Any
lang. May
attitude?
nagsasalita kanina eh. RV ko ba yun?
Oh.
RPG.
Ay, ako yun. Teka lang.
Ako ba yun? RPG ko.
Hina ata yung linya ko. So I just wanna add kasi why somehow na kasi I agree with Sir
John.
Sir
V.
John. Yes. I agree with Sir John kasi alam mo the reason why we're agreeing to all this modding and all that stuff is kasi some of us were into hindi lahat ng games we're into, like for me I'm into survival horror, and you guys you're into RPG. So if I wanted to try something new and venture dun sa mga hindi ko trip na genre, so instead of buying a really expensive game, I would rather try it oh well, I hate the term. It's piracy because though kahit ano ban sabihin natin is it's
Yeah.
piracy pa rin kahit
Balik-balik
balik pa rin man natin.
Oh.
Pero there are advantage to doing this. Why we do it? And kasi we're all collectors. So some are purists na, uy, pirated yan. Wag ano, you're killing the industry, parang gano'n. May mga ganong collector eh. So, yun lang.
Right.
At saka, and the reason why I'm doing this at the same time, it's because back in the days, sobrang kasi I noticed kasi yung mga nagbabayan sale kasi ako. Nakita ko yung mga PS1. They all look plain. The usual gray na alam mo yun. So PS3 they had their own limited edition. PS4 ang dami it's so PS4 right. So I just thought pinturahan ko nga to. So ang dami ko sinira muna bago ko natuto. So so I learned how to window mode and then put lightings mga ganyan. So I'm making it's fun and then it's become a hobby of mine ever since. So yun lang. Pero somehow I'm into yung modding nga because of that reason. So not all of us are into certain genres. So we tend to explore by trying out na using those using that method.
Yeah.
I hate to say this but it's piracy pero yeah.
Well, we will come to that. We will come to the topic eventually later on to the night. How about you, Tito Jokes? Anything to add regarding console modding?
We tend to forget that modding is not only for piracy. We always think that parang modding is also syempre meron tayong design yung ginagawa ng RPG. We also have soft modding to enable certain features. For example, sa Henkaku ng Vita, it enables some games that aren't runnable on the PlayStation TV or PS Vita TV to actually run on it. Kasi nga, diba mayroong back thing, yung back touchscreen, yung sa Vita. And those games, pag enable yung mga features and they cannot run on the PlayStation TV. So, with Henkaku, you enable those even if you're not really into piracy yourself. So, modding is definitely a yes for a lot of things kasi thinking outside of the gaming scene, it's already rampant and say in smartphones, in PCs, in TV, televisions, even in your refrigerator.
In everything, even
That's
a pregnancy.
already modding, yes. As long as there's one thing and it's so restricted that you want more out of it, you're definitely going to mod it however you want. So ako, it's not a matter of yes or no. It's a matter of paano. Yun lang siya eh. Di ba? I mean, it's not gonna stay away for any, hindi siya alas ever since, the wheel has been invented. The wheel has been modded for many times eh. So as long as there's something, there's always a moment for modding it. I guess the best mods that I really like are those that enable you, for example, sa GameCube to switch between regions. Because region locking is a cancer in customer service. Diba? Sobrang sobrang kakainis niya. Parang soft restriction siya eh, pero it doesn't really work. Tapos I really like the mods that are recently coming out that converts RGB to HDMI. Especially the PS1 HDMI mods, the one that has the Wii 2 yung Wii 2 na Wii 2 combo na mod that is far clearer than even what the Wii U comes out with. So, yung mga ganyang klaseng mods maganda siya. Would you call the NTS Ayan. So, yung console may modding siya. Syempre, yung games din may mods din siya. Yung mga sa Mario mods, etc. But syempre, I don't know if it's covered by this topic kasi console modding lang to eh. But yun nga, I guess we forget that modding also not only just enables you to copy other games, but also enhances your experience with the game.
Right.
So, yun lang yung yung concept ko sa modding.
And well, thank you guys for all of your inputs in regards to console modding. Sa akin naman, I I don't really like the term modding. I would rather use the term customization.
Yeah.
Tulad ng ginagawa ni Sir RPG Silagan. Para ka lang para ka lang na-customize ng bike, na-customize ka ng car.
Mm.
Na gano'n ka lang, yung something that came out of retail and you just put a little bit of personality of your own dun sa mismong gamit mo. And we can argue na since gamit mo rin naman niya, since pinayaran mo na siya, it's your personal property, you have the right to do it. Regardless of you're considering the warranty of the unit itself, it's still your right. It's yours to keep. It's do whatever you wish. Why people choose to do it is yun na nga, different reasons. In regards to gaming, sabihin na natin na we want to experience some games na sa tingin natin kakayanin ng unit. Like for example, yung PS2 by at the time hard mode pa siya noon, Matrix Infinity and Modbo.
Matrix Infinity.
Oh, no, forget that. Turn it back a little bit. PlayStation 1. PlayStation 1 yun yung original na mod chip, right? Para lang makapag-play tayo ng mga bootleg na PS1 games at the time. Because all of our PlayStation 1s would usually come from Japan, and then I remember sa Grand Central when we first bought our first PS1, na-realize ko lang ito, but we were offered store warranty, not the Sony's warranty. Then nalaman ko na our PlayStation 1 was already been modified to play bootleg games, whether it's Japanese or American games in English. Kasi you would dahil malay ko ba naman na region lock pala ang PS1. What we got is the Asian version of the PS1. And for you to play Japanese games, pwede siguro kasi Asian pa rin. However, if you're going to play the US games, and then we're going to play it on the PS1 Asian version, you'd think na hindi siya gagana, but because it was already been modified in a such way, ang i-offer lang sa'yo ng store would be the store warranty. Circuit City, Abenson would usually offer you stuff like that. And then comes with your PS2 na the Matrix Infinity, and then the Modbo, and then later on you got your free MacBoot, and then came yung Xbox with the J tagging, and then the PS3 with the jailbreaking. PSP has a jailbreak. The PSP doon nagkaroon ng custom firmware.
Okay, yeah.
PSP and the PS3 same thing for the PS4. Eventually nagkaroon din. Even Nintendo games had their own.
Mm-hmm.
To my earliest knowledge, it would be GameCube. Yung in
N64 hindi masyado na mod
N64 never, not really, because we talked about it yesterday. N64 was not really that popular enough for us meaning
hackers,
to even bother modding the N64. We were more focused on the PlayStation 1 at the time.
Yeah.
What else? You're modding the GameCube, you're modding the Wii after that. Yung Wii U, and then your DS, your 3DS, eventually, and then your Switch. Xbox, of course. Yung Xbox, the original Xbox, na mod na rin. What else? The 360, of course, the J-tagging. Yung bang Xbox One, na mod na ba yun?
Ang alam ko yung Xbox One, hindi.
Hindi.
Kasi meron siyang developer level modding na pwedeng bayaran for $20. So you just pay $20 and then you're allowed to mod per se or do mods or homebrew stuff dun sa Xbox One. It's actually enabled by the manufacturer, which is kind of new sa mga consoles, that the developers allow or the manufacturers allow people to mod the server, the console. sabi, ayos naman tayo dito, sabi ni Pops Nation. Ayan.
I think hindi nga po talaga na-enable yung homebrew support sa Xbox One. The hackers,
Hindi, enable siya. Enable siya ni Microsoft. Bibili mo siya as an app sa Microsoft Store.
no, I mean, but the actual yung hacking per se, walang nangyari ganun.
Wala nang gagawa kasi na-enable na. So why do it?
No, but you know, for the pirates, they did something else like yung parang game sharing. Kasi nakikita ko rin yun online pa-install Xbox One games.
Right.
But same with what Tito Job said, since Xbox One is the same architecture ni Windows 10, there's the option diba, for developer options which allows you to be able to run unsigned code.
Yeah.
Yun yung explanation niya.
And how about the idea na sinasabi ng mga tao na ipamodify mo na yan para at least marami ka ng games na naka-install, hindi mo na kailangan bumili ng games. What can you say about that, guys?
I would like to also comment on your first thesis statement na I don't want it to be called mod. I want it to be called customized.
Right.
Customization is such a marketing term for the manufacturers and also to the sellers, to be honest. No, hey, this is your profile. Let's customize it. I suck at it, to be honest. I don't really like the word customization. Yeah. But if you wanna shortcut it, it's cussing. Customing.
Customs ba?
Costuming. Costume? There you go. So I think mod is a pretty appropriate word kasi syempre, these days hackers are the good ones, not the white hat ones, not necessarily the black hat ones, but the crackers and the hackers out there really like shorthand communication. So mod is the word, even the word legit is a pretty legit word, diba? So I think the reason why people don't like the word modding is because it's rampantly associated with piracy, with illegal activities, diba? But you forget that modding actually got popularized because of Skyrim, diba? Because of the mods that we have on our consoles. I don't think we should shy away from the word. We should shy away from the activity, the illegal activity. Kasi any other actions naman that's outside any certain contract. Kasi whenever you buy a console or a device, there's always a contract. If you want to veer away from that contract, di ba? That's already parang kind of modding, di ba? It's already modding. Tapos at the same time, it depends na sa legality kung gusto mo ituloy o hindi. So, for example, piracy. I don't really like piracy myself. Although, in my youth, I admit na talagang kailangan mag-emulator, kailangan ko bili ng mga modded na PS1 or bili ng modded na PS2. Kasi, syempre, diba? Kakain ka na nga lang, tapos maglalaro. Inisip pa ako sa kabibili, tapos maglalaro ka. And then, when I grew up, I learned na if you're going to really go into gaming, na this man lang, kung kaya mong i-afford mo na. Di ba? Yun lang naman yun eh. Hindi naman parang lahat kailangan i-pirate mo per se. Ako, personally, I can't remember the last time I pirated anything, to be honest. Yes, I can't remember at all. Like, in 2015.
Palakpakan.
I can't remember anything. Kasi lahat ng gusto kong game, either inaantay ko na magmura, or, kasi may chance ka naman for that na magmumura yung game eh. So as far as modding, I think the mods that I really like are the ones that enable HDMI, the things that allow you to communicate over internet despite the fact that the console doesn't support internet, mga ganon. So I really like those ideas. Kasi it just means na you also help invention happen. Na somehow baka mamaya yung mga console manufacturers makita lang, ay, ang ganda tong feature na to, sige, sama natin, ganon. So yun yung mga bagay na like crossplay. Crossplay was actually kind of an idea that was introduced on JTags. Diba kasi hindi mahilig sa crossplay sa Xbox 360 time na yun diba? So yun yung mga bagay na gusto nating i-improve. Kasi these console manufacturers don't want to really improve. They want to limit. Sabi ni Maynard Bragal, pirated, maraming alam na title yon si RV. Kayo Nilalaglag.
May laglagan eh.
May laglagan.
May laglagan,
Dami
may laglagan.
game si RV dyan. Grabe.
Alright. Thank you.
Sabi ni-
Sabi naman ni
Sabi ni
Pops
Pops
Nation.
Nation, that's the word customize sounds more on the good side. Ayan. Customize kasi lang sounds more on the good side. But ako kasi, kakababad ko sa digital marketing, naiinis na ako sa word na yun. Sorry, I mean, it's just me, probably.
Alright. Thank you for that, Tito Jobs. Sir Phil, in regards naman sa modding, total na touch na rin naman na ni Tito Jobs in regards sa mga games, kina-customize na rin naman na. Meron ba kayong mga games na na-customize pero for the sake of lang, tinry nyo?
Customize? Parang wala naman eh. Oo,
Or
customize
at least,
yung...
I think to be more specific, like fan translation,
Na pirate.
It's a modding. Yung mga fan translation na games.
Wala naman, pero kung consider na modding yung sa Diablo, yung palalakasin mo yung
Save editor.
character editor.
Let's talk about that na lang din. Your what do you call this? The trainers and the save editors.
Yes.
What can you say about that? So ayan, go Tito Sir Phil.
Ako okay lang, basta for personal
Yes.
personal amusement mo lang or personal use.
So,
Halimbawa-
personal amusement.
Hindi yung amusement na yun.
Ibang amusement.
Lakos. Pero yung halimbawa, medyo sabi nating mahina ka sa paglaro ng Diablo. Gusto mo talagang kwento lang naman yung
Sino
habol
mahina
mo.
maglaro ng Diablo?
Well, surprisingly, pag yung Diablo pag i-play mo siya ng straight, abot kaya pag level 10 dun sa dungeon.
Deads ka.
Deads ka eh. Kailangan mo ulitin siya eh.
I-grind mo yun.
Oo, i-grind mo siya eh. So, yun nga, siguro na uso yung character modding, di ba?
So for you to just enjoy the Diablo.
Yeah,
just-
Diablo. And then pati naman sa yung kung nalaro niyo yung mga unang Fallout, yung isometric pa yung
yeah,
Fallout 1 and 2, medyo grindy rin siya eh. So, minsan kasi, since pareho lang naman din yung concept ng Fallout nun sa mga Fallout 3 and 4 ngayon, na pwede kang pumunta doon sa mga malalakas na region. Syempre, you have to modify or increase yung stats nung character mo. Minsan nga, isang sapak mo lang, umuurumpit na yung kahit yung boss na kalaban eh.
Umurumpit?
Tumatalsik. It's a kanto word.
Kanto o lolo word? Umurumpit?
Sabi ni Mamo Chu, maganda naman ang trainer to add replay value. If the game doesn't have a game plus, pwede kang umulit, adding the same value, meron ka sa first run mo. Alright. Thank you. And sabi naman din ni Maynard, dapat nandito.
Favorite topic.
Sana maging okay ka na, brother. Medyo he's feeling under the weather right now, kaya wala siya rito. Sabi ni Maynard, ayan na naman tayo sa amusement. Fetishing na naman yan.
Criticizing.
Favorite term.
RV, since nilalaglag ka ni Maynard, what else can you say about your gameplay modding? Gameplay modding naman tayo. Total, nabanggit na rin naman ng trainers and save editing. What can you say about that, RV?
Okay. Bigyan ako na example. Front Mission 5. Ayan. Si Front Mission 5 kasi Japan exclusive siya. So, mayroong ginawang mga fans talaga ng Front Mission to create fan translated English patch for that. So, yun nga, for some reasons, I don't know why did that release it on the US. So, yun nga, ultimately, some of the fan translators are patched the game to US. And yun nga, ang daming naka-receive sa mga Western na ay, okay pala tong bakit hindi ito na port sa West. So that is one of the advantage of of modding in terms of ano.
Alright.
Some other games, like, for example,
Yes.
Arthur's Fantasia. Yan.
Art Fantasia for Nintendo Wii.
Yeah. Ang ayaw ko sa kanya, yung voice. Kaya mas prefer ko
Voice
talaga.
acting, right?
That is one of the reason why we do modding. Kasi may mga games kasi na undubbed version.
Yes, the undubbed versions of the games, yeah.
Hmm.
RPG Silagan, anything to add regarding gameplay modding? Save modding or trainers?
Ako, I agree with RV. Kasi ang daming mga exclusive games like in Japanese, sa mga Japanese games, ang daming exclusive na game na walang port sa PAL or US. So, napaka-advantage niya rin at the same time kasi nata-translate mo yung language well, na-explore mo yung mga bagay na hindi na-release sa Western. So, it's kasi pag sinabi mong modding, alam mo, pag sinabi mong modding, unang pumapasok talaga piracy. Marami pala. So, I have to take what I mentioned a while ago kasi maraming sakop when you say modding, pero technically sa atin kasi pag when you say modding, yun agad ang mapasok sa utak mo, you're pirating something. It's for me, yeah, it's an advantage. I have to be honest. I have original games na pinapirate ko siya kasi ayoko magasgas yung CD ko. So,
Right.
yun yung isang use ng pagpapirate. So, I wanted
always
to
use that excuse actually.
You don't need to pirate. You don't need to pirate, but you just have to back up.
Yeah, rip.
Yes.
Rip mo lang.
Ako
Kung
hindi
meron ng
talagang,
kopya.
lalo na kung pristine condition yung game mo, nako, hindi ko pwede laruin to. Kailangan ko mag-pirate para malaro ko to. Alam mo yun, may ganong mentality. And,
Only may pirate, ha? Buwibili ako ng dito.
Cross ba yan, pare?
and I like to
Yes,
mention,
So sabi kasi hindi kasi kanina na parang like tito. So what like tito di ako napapirate. Teka nga, ha? Anyway, sorry.
Alright. Sabi ni James Espiritu here, gameplay modding, yung ibang PS2 games, pwede gawing 240p. Native para sa bumagay sa CRT. Merong scan lines. For example, 2D fighting games, kagaya ng King of Fighter series na 480i sa PS2. And then, Maynard ads. May mga games din na ipapatch mo para ma-bypass yung protection para sa PSX protected games. Lalo na pag sa modded PS1 na laruin, need mo i-patch yung protection. And then, Mamochu added another one. I agree about the fan translation. In fact, maraming US players na gusto yung Phantasy Star Online 2. Dati, that we rely on fan translation to play the game, maski sa menu lang or quest requirements. So, Sir John, before we wrap the topic, ano pa pong anything you might want to add in regards to fan translations, save modding, or using the trainers?
Yes, ako, ang first-hand experience ko lang po when it comes to yung actual modding. When I remember, nabanggit din nyo kanina Skyrim. When I had my J-Tag then, I think it was my 4th Xbox 360. I wasn't into PC gaming pa din. And then because of the Skyrim modding community, you can actually import parang yung high-resolution textures to your Skyrim copy of the Xbox 360 na J-Tag version ng ano. So, I was able to run some, maybe high-res textures ng tubig, yung ganyan yung sky, before your console crashed because memory issues. But yeah, I had my fair share of that, and I have to agree rin with Uncle Phil. Yung in terms of character modding, if you just want to have like the heck of it, enjoy the game. Pero if you wanna parang go legit, like for Diablo, I think pagka nag-online ka nun and then modded yun, automatic ban yung yung account mo. So, kung gusto mo lang mag-enjoy lang just for the heck of it, or if you want to try out something, pero after a while, you're gonna discard that then because you want to legitly enjoy the game. No, it's probably a no.
All right. So, sa totoo lang guys, in regards to modding, tulad na sinabi ng mga panelists natin dito guys, sa lahat ng nakikinig, nanonood, thank you so much for being here. napaka-broad ng topic in regards to game modding. And game modding, console modding, whether it's console modding or whether it's game modding, modding is still modding. And I would like to input the principle na anything that the proprietor that you would go against dun sa intended na usage of that particular product, whether it's the console or the game, I would like to say that's modding pa rin. Anything that you want to alter, anything that you would like to alter, despite of what it's intended to be in the first place, we will consider that as modding. Whether it's changing the physical appearance of the console, whether changing the programming, soft modding, whether altering the hardware, the hard modding, whether we alter the save file, game save modding, or we alter the game's memory, trainers. So anything in between, that's still modding. And we have our own reasons why we do it. Whether it's preserving our games, preserving our consoles, expanding the gaming experience, anything in between, we have our own reasons for that. And unfortunately, nandito pumapasok yung stigma of piracy na we will tackle eventually after in the later third of the program. So thank you so much for all of the panelists inputs, and kayo dyan sa chat. James Espiritu mentioned, I don't modding sa Xbox 360, Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur, isa yan, kaya siya mayroong 360. Dead or Alive, yan ba yung merong save mo, merong modding na modding na naka-swimsuit tapos tatanggalan mo pa sila sa plot? Para all right. Special mention kay Joseph Ryan de Malanta, of course. Yup, modified console or games, Pokemon Fire Emblem mods, James Espiritu, syempre sabi niya is nudes, MDS. We are taking some fan questions here. MDS mentioned, emulating para sa phone.
Since MDS, si Mayor Defensor siya, nagpaparamdam siya. Joke lang. You know, like,
should we consider emulation on mobile phones?
It's not modding kasi may mga available sa App Store.
Right.
So,
I don't really think that's really modding kasi first of all, yung mismong console hindi naman na yun. Yung console itself, yung mismong software lang naman yung kinuha mo, and then nilipat mo lang sa another platform. Would we even consider that as modding? I mean, you're modding the phone, yes, siguro. Technically speaking.
Well, that's different.
It's
kasi, merong mga may mga emulators talaga na downloadable legally sa App Store at sa Play Store. And if you transfer the ROMs to the phone, it's still part of the domain, the legal domain of your contract with the phone. So I don't think it's modding at all. Even if you attach a controller,
more on of app pa rin naman siya, right?
Yeah, app lang siya. Even if you add a controller, like attach a controller to the phone, it's still part of the contract with the phone. So I don't think it's. I mean, the fact that the phone allows those features, that means it's part of the contract with your phone. So it's not modding at all. Para sa akin.
Ano yung tawag dun sa pag modify mo yung mono yun? Yung routing yata ang tawag dun?
Routing, breaking, yan.
Right?
Yan po ang modding sa phone, if ever.
Yun ang modding ng phone.
Ito yung gusto kong i-comment pa sa amin kanina yung RPG na parang he doesn't believe that modding is it should be like a negative thing. Kasi sa Pilipinas, it's always associated as piracy. Sa Pilipinas lang talaga yun, totoo lang. If you read forums sa US or yung mga forums outside of the country, modding is in general about yun nga, modifications.
Parang adding features.
Even with cars, you can talk about cars modding them, di ba? So, yun yung talk nila. And even when you talk about hacking, outside the hackers community, ang hacking inisip ng mga tao, papasok sa computer tapos nanakawan yung pera. Hindi. hacking is about getting around a certain hurdle and then finishing that task despite the hurdle. Yun lang ibig sabihin ng hacking. That's why yung modding is the popular here in the Philippines, yun nga, is piracy. Pero labas, hindi, not at all. So that's why I still use the word mod.
True.
At kaya nawilon ako yung nasasabi ko sa RGCP. RGCP, meron po ba nagmamod dito ng Wii? Kasi gusto ko tong mod na to na gawing HDMI 1080, tapos
the output, right?
yung output maganda, tapos may GameCube support din.
Then,
Akala siguro ng mga tao gusto ko pirata.
pirata.
So,
Actually, I really would
siya
like to, I really would like to talk to, di ba I would talk to Chairman Erwin about that. Kasi siguro iniiwasan niya lang na, kasi if you're going to open the floodgates in regards to modding, one thing will lead to another. So siguro feeling ko it's just trying to.
I think open naman si Chairman doon kasi he does Henry, yung mga Henryfied na consoles. I have a Henryfied GBA actually, by the way. So if you remember Henry Regalonda in RGCP, he does modifications sa kino-combine niya yung Famicom at saka yung NES in one console. So,
case mod.
Tapos ang out niya na hindi na RF, ang out niya is component or composite, hindi ko alam. So a Henryfied mod na siya. We do allow mods inside RGCP. I don't think anyone is squeamish about it. It's just that the majority of RGCP members think that modding equals piracy. Yun lang.
Yeah,
only a few lang really know that modding means modifying customization ng console.
So before we end the topic, one thing I would like to share in terms of modding. I remember this nung umuwi ako ng Pinas. RV was with me, Carlo, Sir Carlo, Buds, and si Agustin and
Albert.
And Albert. So nung bumili ako ng Super Nintendo kay Chairman, sabi ko, pwede ba yan i-modify, sir, na pwede rin maglaro ng Super Famicom? Oo, pwede. And akala ko anong gagawin niya. So what he did, sabi niya kay Sir Henry, si Sir Henry nandun kasi he was delivering the GameCubes yung mga GameCube na modified niya na binili na namin. Sabi niya, Henry, asan mo yung price? So binigyan niya yung price. Ako nang gagawin niya sa price. So syempre, doon naman ako. All he did, binuksan niya yung cartridge bin, kinuha niya yung plies, and then binunot niya, parang ngipin lang na binunot niya yung dalawang pin dun sa magkabilang gilid. And then, ayun na. O yan, pwede na yan. Ayan, pwede ng Super Famicom yan. That's it.
Yeah.
Kasi,
Parang binunutan mo lang ng pangil.
Hard mod, no?
ito yung nagpe-prevent ng yung family ko kasi walang slot.
Walang slot for that, right? And then sabi ko, so parang tinanggalan mo lang ng pangil and then pwede na siya maglaro ng Super Famicom games. That's so absurd, right? Kayo dyan guys, kung makikita nyo, pinapakita ni Sir Phil na ang pinagkaiba ng Super Famicom sa Super Nintendo. Nakikita nyo to, guys. Super Nintendo, meron siyang mga squares dito sa gilid. Merong pin dun sa Super Nintendo na kailangan pumunta doon. So, kung ilalagay mo ang Super Famicom na cartridge na wala yung yung wala yung dalawang slots na yon, hindi yan papasok. So, kung tatanggalin natin yung dalawang pangil na yon, pwede na maglaro ng Super Famicom games ang Super Nintendo. So, it's very and I really didn't know it at the time. Nagulat lang ako sa napaka-innovative naman ng hard modding na to.
Yan, naalala ko kasi yung nire-rentahan ko nung SNES, yung NES niya, nakahubad.
Para pwede mo.
Wala yung
mahilig talaga basta pag nakahubad talaga.
Kasi term nakahubad, pwede naman
basta
lose
basta hype control talaga. Yan naman.
Wala yung chassis.
Control. Ayan. Okay.
Sabi ni Maynard, tinanggal lang yung dalawang ngipin pero suwabe ang pasok ng Japanese.
Yeah.
Kaso Sir Maynard, baka na-blurred yun, ha?
Sabi naman ni mapapahaba ating usapan pero hey, we are having fun. Sabi ni Joseph Ryan de Malanta, modding din po ba ang tawag sa PS2 console turned into portable handheld? Merong mga videos na ganun, guys, ba? Sa YouTube.
Super mod yun. Para sa akin talagang hyper mod na yun.
Hyper mod.
So mod din siya pero ibang level ng modding yun. As in,
Pero kapal yun, no?
Anong mod yun?
Sir? Parang ang sakit na sa kamay na karga-kargahin mo yun eh, no?
Hindi, magandang daw siya kasi you use the slim PS2.
PS2.
Kasi we always think of the big PS2, di ba, with the huge heat spreader, di ba?
Yeah,
pero when you think about...
Kasi nakita ko yung casing nun, parang kapal. It turns out kasi ginamit din pala din niya yung optical drive din mismo.
Baka puro plastic lang naman. Baka maganda lang naman. Pero yan, sabi ng MDS, so walang kwenta ba ang mga adapters dati?
Game Genie. Mga ganun.
Yung
and,
yung NES,
what else?
Ay,
Yung
NES.
UFO? Ano ba yung Super UFO?
Yeah,
Anybody
super.
remember that? Yung Super Famicom and then ilagay mo yung disket.
Oo. Pero meron din yung adapter ng ng
Family computer.
Family computer sa NES.
NES.
Na
Para
palalakihin
makakapagsaksak.
mo yung bala ng
Nakita mo, yun talaga
NES.
tayo palalaki.
Kasi di ba yung cartridge ng NES?
Fixated ka na
Yung cartridge ng NES yung mahaba, di ba?
Oh.
Kasi yung Japanese, may click.
In other news,
Kasi kailangan na mag-commercial break.
Totoo yun. Hindi yun. Research yun.
Sorry po. Pasensya na po kayo sa hype control.
Alright. So, yun lang po ang ating so thank you for the panel for giving their special opinions in regards to modification in terms of consoles and gaming. And thank you so much din sa ating mga chat members right there that asking questions and giving additional insight. Now we are going to move on to our next topic for the night. We call it backwards compatibility. Just a little bit insight in regards to backwards compatibility. The earliest that I can remember na nagawa ito is what we mentioned earlier was the ColecoVision. Oh no, not really. The Atari 2600 when they came up with the Atari 5200, they made sure na kapag binili niyo yung unit na yon, you can still play your Atari 2600 games.
Yeah.
And eventually other gaming developers followed suit. That would be what? Sega Genesis na meron silang peripheral add-on so you can play Sega Master System games. Hindi nga lang nagpatok yun dito sa Pinas, but it's something happened in Japan and in America. And then eventually Nintendo didn't really do anything backwards compatibility wise. And for what I can remember,
Game Boy, Game Color,
right? The Game Boy, but originally, according to Console Wars, according to the book, ang gusto sana ng presidente ng Nintendo at the time, magkaroon din sila ng backwards compatibility. Kung gagawa sila ng SNES, merong pa rin backwards compatibility with the Famicom. However,
SNES with Famicom,
yung SNES makakapag-play ng NES games or Famicom games. However, the president of Nintendo of America ayaw yun kasi itong Nintendo of America president, he was thinking about moving forward into new technology, new innovations. Anything beyond is obsolete para sa kanya. Kaya na ngayon hindi sila nagkaroon ng backwards compatibility with the NES. However, nung nalaman ng Sega na nung ilalabas nila ang Genesis, nung nalaman nila na walang backwards compatibility ang Nintendo, we can capitalize that because we have our own add-on for the Sega Master System. And so it's one of those things that they drive on na against Nintendo na sinabi nila na okay, since walang backwards compatibility ang SNES, isasabihin natin na you can still play your Sega Master System games with the Sega Genesis if you have the peripheral. and so on and so forth. History is, as they say, everything else is history. So anything that you might add, guys, in regards to what I mentioned? Let's start with RPG, Silagan. What can you tell us about backwards compatibility from the past and the present?
Alam mo kasi ako maka-PlayStation ako. So, I can relate with backwards compatibility with the PS2 and the PS3. So, I have little to say about backwards compatibility, to be honest. Other and well, PS3 backwards compatibility niya yung system nila dati pangit eh. Alam mo yun, ang dali masira. Siguro ang daming nilagay dun sa console all at the same time na nagka-crash yung system with R load and all that. So, kasi I'm a CD based gamer, so I have my PS1, PS2, PS3, pero I've utilized PS3 to play PS1 before, and having that feature is a plus. Pero unfortunately, yung mga unang release who had that capability is not good when it comes to the system. And I also do that with PS2. PS2 is much better, pero yun lang. So I'm a CD based player, so and I have my own consoles on each platform. So it's good in terms na hindi ka na switch from console to console. So but at the same time, siguro when it comes to its hardware could be one of the reason bakit nagka-crash yung system. So I have nothing to say. I'm not really familiar with Super Famicom and all that. So yun lang siguro masasabi ko. So anyway.
Okay. How about you, Sir Phil? In regards to it backwards compatibility, anything to add regarding the history and ano yung masasabi mo in regards to the need for it right now?
Yeah, regarding history, hindi ko nga alam na aware na nung mga cartridge days pala may mga backwards compatibility.
Oo,
Akala ko
ngayon ko lang din nalaman.
ang akala ko ngayon lang siya naging thing eh. Pero ang hindi ko lang kasi magets or maybe something is happening behind the scenes, like, upstairs or ano. Kasi like for example, sa movie, may Betamax, may VHS. Ano ba, sabi natin Karate Kid, may Betamax, may VHS, may DVD, may Blu-ray, may Netflix, gano'n. Di ba? Parang out siya sa lahat ng platform eh. But parang hindi natin magawa sa games yun. No? Iilan lang yung games na parang nakagawa nung gano'n. Siguro si Metal Slug, si Mega Man lang ang lumabas sa lahat ng platform eh. So, kumbaga, pagkalibawa, ikaw, na-introduce ka na sa PS4, yun ang nakakinamulatan mong game, tapos hindi backwards compatible yung mga games na pinakwento siguro ng mga kuya mo or ng mga tito mo, di ba? Syempre, hindi mo sila malalaro. So, parang yun na rin yung nagtitrigger ng piracy, di ba? Syempre, katulad ko, na-skip ko yung PS3. So, gusto ko malaro si MGS4 kasi pinanood ko lang yung story niya sa YouTube. So, ngayon, gumawa ko ngayon ng emulator ng PS3. Even na may means naman ako or may money naman ako bumili ng PS3 na OG na So
Right.
parang ba't hindi na lang nila kahit re-release man lang sa mga newer platforms or parang si Neo Geo, di ba yung mga old school arcade nila, parang pinapamigay na nga lang sa PS Store eh. But sana yung mga old school games natin, alam mo, maglabas sila ng the best of Famicom, mga ganon, na para sa mga newer platforms, even kahit siguro sa PC na lang or sa Switch, ganon. So sana parang mas open yung mga developers or yung mga publisher ng mga games sa sa backwards compatible eh.
Backwards
Kasi na-stock lang tayo sa mga bagong title eh.
Right.
So yun.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Sir Phil, about your answer. How about your RV? If meron ka namang console for that game, why would you even need the backwards compatibility for the new console?
Ayun. Kasi same thoughts kami ni RPG, no. We have CDs for PS1, PS2, PS3 until PS4, no. Yun nga, yun kasi yung advantages sa mga backward compatible na consoles. We can play all of the games from the older generation. But as a trends right now, sa nakikita ko ngayon, backwards compatibility is a big issue, especially from between Sony and Xbox. No? Si Xbox kasi, they always listen to the customers. Yun yung maganda sa kanila. They have backwards compatible from the original Xbox up onto ano. Unlike sa PS4 or sa PS5, they did not include the backwards compatible because they want to focus on the next gen. And of course, budget-wise din kasi yung especially sa mga piyesa ng yung real emotion engine ni PS2, they no longer migrated to the next gen console. Sa Switch, sa Nintendo naman, especially sa Switch, I'm not sure kung backward compatible pa rin ba yung mga or emulation na lang din. So, yun nga, unlike sa mga, for example, sa Wii, they have capability to backward compatible up to GameCube games and certain NES. So, yun yung thoughts ko regarding that.
Alright. Thank you naman, Jen, for your insights, RV. Sir John, being one of being an Xbox care support person here, ano naman masasabi niyo in regards to their to the principle of backwards compatibility, knowing Xbox capitalized using backwards compatibility with the Xbox One to play Xbox 360 games?
Yes, sir. I'd have to say na yun po isa sa mga plus points ni Microsoft over Sony for at least some time. Because even in the PSC era, I remember I wanted an OG PSC just like with Tito. However, I never got that. Instead, I got the one with a partial, yung 40 gig model, which wylod on me. So, wala rin, baliwala. I'd have to say si Microsoft naging maganda yung commitment niya in regards to that. Although, with the 360 era, medyo poor pa yung naging emulation nila. And I remember people, especially me as well with JTAG, I had to rely on a hacked compatibility. Dina-download yun before na para makapag-play ka ng mas wider selection of games. But I remember yun yung maganda with Xbox. And there's this YouTuber, Modern Vintage Gamer, who actually tested when the Xbox Series X came out, yung latest na generation. He actually did parang, I think hindi system link 4 generations of consoles playing the same Halo, OG Halo version 1 game on the 4 consoles. So OG Xbox, backwards compatibility on 360, backwards compatibility on Xbox One, and then on the Series X yata or S. I think S yun na software downloaded. So lahat yun magkakalink, nakapaglaro sila ng multiplayer via Xbox Live, which is actually good. Yun yung naging support ni Microsoft in regards to backwards compatibility. Why it's a big deal for me? Because I guess there are some people who are looking for some kind of enhancements. Although per se, hindi mo masabing enhancement because parang upscaling na lang yung magaganap But yeah, for me, when I had my PS3 then, yung at least yung short time na nalaro ko siya nun, I never had PS1. I relied on emulation Blim. I think nabanggit natin yan sa episode kagabi. So, yung for me, yung ability na makapaglaro ng PS1 games ko noon, and just for the heck of it, kasi I remember kung wala kang emotion engine, yung hindi ka yung partial compatibility lang, it relied on software emulation. You can still play your PS1 games, but not
the PS2.
Not PS2 entirely. May iba, pero sobrang broken yung support niya. Right. So that's my take on the emulation side or backwards compatibility.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Sir John. Sabi ni Joseph Ryan de Malanta here, I think it's not a necessity, but it's a plus kung you can play all generation games in a modern console. And then Tito Jopes, you have a PS3 backwards the fat one, the original one that can play PS1 games and PS2 games. Knowing you that you already have a PS1 console and a PS2 console, why would you even go for a backwards compatible ready na PS3? Ayan na nga.
Sorry.
Pamain na lang po.
Well, why would I go for this? Because of the HDMI output. This is the best HDMI output that you could get for at least before the PS1 HDMI mod came out. This is the cleanest PS1 footage that you could get. Also the best PS2 footage that you could get na mula sa HDMI. Why do I need HDMI output? Kasi I'm a streamer. So it was important for me to get one, and I got one for a bargain price. Because it's wide loaded, and we have PXP. I wanna actually thank PXP that they fixed my PS3 and as it is na hindi na bago yung nakahoy yung parts. So ano pa rin, yung sticker ano pa rin, yung hardware andun pa rin. Masaya. It's actually nice and fun to see that the PS3 is actually using the hardware. As for backwards compatibility kasi, ito kasi yung ano ko eh. Ito yung pagdududa ko dyan.
Uminom pa.
Uminom muna. Bueno muna.
This is going to be long. Kasi ito. We had our episode last night about PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 5, and people keep complaining that the only games that you can play on the PlayStation 5 are PlayStation 4 games. Why the heck would you even want backwards compatibility kung yun yung unang reklamo mo sa PS5? So, I don't know what gamers are going for when it comes to backwards compatibility. Ano ba talaga gusto nyo? Hindi. Bibigyan ng Microsoft yung feature dun sa Xbox One, hindi nyo naman ginamit. So, yung nakakainis kasi, people wanting backwards compatibility for the
option of having one.
As an option, not knowing that it's an expensive option for the manufacturers to add. And then hindi nyo papansinin yung feature. So, I mean, ngal tayo about backwards compatibility, but we bought the PS4 anyway. Right? It's the best seller compared to the Xbox One. So, why do we really need backwards compatibility again? Para nalabain yung mga games natin of old? Yung ba talaga yung reason nyo? Kasi if you're going to play your old games, why not use the original hardware anyway? So, I mean, ito yung conundrum ko eh. Para, backwards compatibility is really a good feature, yes. But do gamers really aspire to play these games without the fandom goggles and see the naked blockiness of the games of the past? So, yun yung question ko about backwards compatibility. I love backwards compatibility, especially for example PSP and PS Vita. You can play PS1 games on them. I can play the PS1 games on PlayStation Vita TV. That's fantastic. I can buy these games on PSN. That's awesome. But what about my CDs? Where do I play them? Oh, there's the PS3. I like it on PS3. PS2 games, ang bibili. Sa PS2 lang siya sa PS3 magamit, but there are special models of PS3 that support it. Diba? Oh wow, Xbox One and Xbox Series S and Series X supports as far way back as Xbox. Pero ilang Xbox games lang? 8? 12? Sa Xbox 365, 200 something. Pero nasaan yung yung favorite kong laro na Kamote in Town, mga example. Wala, hindi siya supported, di ba? So, I mean, the question is, does it really matter? The backwards compatibility, or should it just be left out on the console where they used to run? And ako, mas support ko, rather than backwards compatibility, do a remaster. Because one, they make the manufacturers more money.
Yeah.
It's profitable for them. That means there's incentive for them to improve the game to the current standards that we have. Imagine, Shadow of the Colossus. Nung ni-remake nila, there was so much what do you call this? Reward, di ba? There were so many reasons for them to make a remake because it's new money coming in with the same kind of assets that they used before. Pero it feels modern. The controls doesn't feel sticky. The controls doesn't feel clunky, diba? Because it's remade. Same with Demon Souls. Why would you have to Why would you have to do backwards compatibility on PS3 when you can remake Demon Souls? And look at the beauty that Demon Souls remake is. And gamers still come up with certain reasons bakit sasabihin na, ay, Demon Souls yan. You should have just played the PS3. Don't buy the PS5 and the Demon Souls remake. Ang mahal masyado. That's $600 all on you. Eh, BS naman yun eh. Di ba? Ayaw yung backwards compatibility kasi yung mga ginagamit. Ayaw rin ng mga remakes kasi ang mahal-mahal. Ano ba talaga gusto nyo, gamers? Di ba?
I think
I'd rather we move forward. Yes, let's move forward. Let's remake the things that the gamers want. Let's not remake the games that the gamers don't really want. For example, a lot of people are calling out, let's do a remake of Legend of Legaia. Do other people really like it? No, not really.
I liked it.
Because you like it, but not everyone likes it. There's no incentive. There's no monetary incentive. There's no economic incentive. There's no philosophical incentive to remake these games. Right?
But I think it goes the same way as well, that it's more on preference because there's not necessarily that much incentive as well if you always keep on doing a remaster of a game. Because there's this talk that no other games or no other newer titles are coming out because it's all remasters and ports and HD remakes.
What's wrong with about modernizing a game? Sorry,
No, it's not modernizing. A remaster is not modernizing its game. It's just strapping in new graphics and shiny new stuff and assets. It's the same game.
It's the same game, but it's modernized. But you can always change
So,
the controls, you can fast forward.
I think bottom line is it would all depend on the preference. If kasi I'm more into having instead of being able to try to run my old games. It's not like I'm gonna run my old Xbox OG games on the 360 and I'm gonna finish it. No,
But-
you just want to be able to have that sheer fact na kaya ng console ko to eh.
But
Kaya
the
ng console ko yung
reason
backwards
But
compatible.
the reason there is a Final Fantasy VII remaster, hindi mo na yung remake There's a reason why the Final Fantasy remaster came out is because new gamers to the Final Fantasy franchise didn't want the grind, didn't want the length of the entire thing.
Well,
That's why
Final
you have the fast forward, you have the better graphics, you have the the state saves, diba?
I'd have to agree that Final Fantasy VII Remaster is a totally different game. Eh. I guess
Hindi
it's just
remake remaster.
the remake. It's a
remaster. I'm
Well,
talking about remaster.
okay. Well, I won't play the remaster. I won't even bother buying the same game again.
Okay.
Because if I can run my old PS1 games even on emulator on PC, it's still gonna look far better than the remaster that I'm gonna spend money on than buying on the Switch or on the PS4 as a downloadable
And if
content.
that's your reason, then there's no reason for backwards compatibility then.
No, there is. Sabi ko hindi ko nga siya bibilin eh.
Yun
Diba?
yung fact, yun yung point eh. Why would you do backwards compatibility if your PC makes it look better?
No, I'm still gonna play it. I can still play PS1
Walang
games on the
incentive. You just said
PS3.
walang incentive eh. Walang incentive bilhin siya as a remaster sa console. If the console supported it with backwards compatibility, there's also no incentive because it's the same old clunky backwards graphics.
That's why I said there's no incentive. I'm not gonna buy the remaster. That's a downloadable content because I can still play my physical games on the same console on
Okay,
PS3.
we're talking about backwards compatibility.
Yes, that's backwards
Alright.
compatibility.
So, ito po nasira ang hype control.
we can argue on kasi ito yung sinasabi ni Tito Jobs na not all gamers are in sync in regards of what they want in terms of backwards compatibility. Some would
Yeah.
rather have some would love the option of having that feature if the expense will not be an issue. And some would argue naman din na if I already have the original consoles, why would I even have that? Let's move on forward. Let's do a remaster. We should at least request for a remaster. However, there's another school of thought na why would we even do a remaster if there's only a niche population of certain gamers na they are only clamoring for that particular game na alam naman natin there's no enough demand to do it in the first place. So since na-tackle na rin naman ni Tito Jobs and ni Sir John in regards to backwards compatibility and remastering. How about you, Sir Phil? Ano ang iyong say? Backwards compatibility or remastering? Remastering, remaking,
Backwards
rebooting.
compatibility ako. Kasi,
Backwards
yun na.
Why?
Kasi parang, hindi naman lahat ng gamer is may luxury na makahanap ng mga PS3, yung mga lumang consoles, di ba?
Good. That's
Pero
a good point.
Pero kung halimbawa, ewan ko kung ano nila, kung ba't hindi na lang nila i-update yung library ng halimbawa PS4, ng PS Store, ng,
I'm ordering
ng mga
food
PS1, gano'n.
Ordering
So
food
ba't
for
di
the
na lang
guys
nila
at
nila
Antipolo.
i-add yung PS1, PS2, PS3 sa library ng PS Store. Tapos lahat siya malalaro sa machine na or console na PS4. So kung yun nga, para makater lahat ng para everybody happy, gano'n. And then sa stats na yon makikita nila kung sino yung bumibenta pa rin, sino yung mga old school games na tinatangkilik pa rin. And then from that data, edi gumawa sila ng remaster o ng remake.
I mean, I
Pero-
guess,
Right.
sorry, I wanna add lang doon sa sinabi niya. This is the reason why I guess the PC is the master race. Because there's no need for these backwards compatibility BS. everything is backwards compatibility.
Right.
Backwards compatible. Everything. Well, except siguro kung Windows 98 talaga yung game mo. Pero,
Ay, actually,
meron naman kasi good old games yung may
Good,
GOG kasi. So, okay lang yun. At saka may way pa rin para rin sa PC mo.
Yeah,
It's
there's always a way.
It's only the consoles that have problems like this eh.
Right.
So,
Lipat na tayo sa PC.
Okay. RPG Silagan, since you're more of a survival horror kind of a player, what say you? Backwards compatibility ng iyong games or remastering of your favorite horror games?
relax sa pasok ko dyan.
Alam mo kasi, I wanted to mention din kasi the reason why a certain game is being remastered, for me personally, kasi if you look at the titles of the games that being remastered, these are games that has been popular back then na nag-sale talaga, na kumita talaga. So it's not like every game is being remastered on the newer console. No, the only ones that being remastered are the ones who had yung nagkaroon talaga ng magandang sales back in the days. So I'm not sure if you agree with me, but the thing is, the reason why certain I'm not sure, is it developer why they are doing this, the remastering of certain games, is because they wanted to cash in on the profit na nangyari doon by introducing this to new gamers like sa panahon ngayon who never had the experience of playing those games na experience natin back in the days. So that's one of the reasons why there are remastered games. So it's not like every game is being remastered. No, the only games that are being remastered is yung mga games na kumita in the past. So ako kasi yung when it comes to backwards compatibility naman, carry lang naman sa akin. So kasi po ang understanding ko with backwards compatibility is the console having the ability to play games from the older yung mga games from the older console. So okay lang siya for me, pero kasi it saves you yung the money na bumili ng in another console para lang malaro mo yung certain game na So I've no issues with backwards compatibility if ever. So
All right.
yun lang.
Thank you, RPG. How about you, RV? You are more familiar with a lot of Japanese games out there, regardless of the console. Is it still an issue for you whether it's a backwards compatibility, or would you rather have them remastered na lang?
It depends on the title eh. Yun nga, adding RPG slots. For example, si Final Fantasy X. Yung international version niya is Japan exclusive siya before sa PS2. But they remastered it to PS3 and PS4. So, yung mga added features niya na hindi natin naiintindihan before sa PS2 is na-remastered siya together with all of the contents. Same goes with the Final Fantasy 12. Kasi yung Soljak job system is, remember, exclusive lang siya sa PS2. That is Japanese. But they include all of the contents on the PS3 and PS4, as far as I know. For example, sa RE3, dyan yung maraming na-disappoint na mga fans. Especially yung doon ako nalungkot yung Clock Tower. Yun yung pinaka-most memorable sa RE3. So, yun pa yung wala doon mismo sa mismong...
Medyo iniba nga rin nila, no? Story.
Ayan.
Yun ang downside.
For me, it depends on the title. Pero kung ako, sa backwards compatibility for nostalgia, then for remastered, if you really want to play the games before na Japan exclusive lang siya, but they remaster it somehow.
All right. Thank you for that, RV. My take on backwards compatibility versus remastering. I remember when I first got my PS2, just a certain example. Doon ko lang nalaman na pwede pala na backwards compatible pala siya with the PlayStation 1. And at the time, my PlayStation 1 was already dead. Right? And I still have all of my games for the PS1. Kaya nung nalaman ko na the PS2 can play PS1 games, tuwa naman din ako. At least there's still I can still play my PS1 games using the PS2. Meron pa rin silang silbi, hindi lang sila nakatenga lang diyan sa aparador. And when they announced the PS3 would be backwards compatible with the PS1 and PS2, marami rin na nagbunyi. However, it costed Sony so much money in producing the original PS3 na they cut their losses, tinanggal nila ang features to play the PS2 games eventually. So ang succeeding PS3 mo na ngayon is just what? PS1 compatible.
Yeah.
So from the hard mode, ginawa nila naging soft mode, and then eventually tinanggalan nila altogether just to save some money. Because yun yung sinabi ni Tito Jobs kanina, if you had the function but you're not really using it all the time, then why would you even have that function in the first place? Same thing lang din with that principle ang for me, kapag bumibili ako ng phone, yeah, ang dami mong features na advertise sa akin, but I'm not gonna use all of those. I would rather just go with the basic functions that I know that I'm going to use. Mas makakasave pa ako ng salapi. Right? And in regards naman sa PS5, for the longest time, it was rumored by a lot of forums out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, sinasabi nila na magkakaroon daw siya ng backwards compatibility with 1, 2, 3, 4, PSP, and Vita. And iniisip ko, oh my God, anong magiging itsura ng PS5 na yun? Because kung hardware compatibility pag-uusapan natin, so sabihin, meron siyang UMD slot for the PSP. Meron siyang for the Vita, meron siyang meron siyang cart na slot for the Vita games.
I think I mentioned last night that every game that on the PSN is playable na on the PS5.
No,
so
what
PSN,
what the gamers for my understanding kasi at the time ang iniisip kasi ng mga tao is actual hardware compatibility, not really the software, software emulation. And
That's
to that point, knowing how emulation has grown throughout the years, you would think a company like Sony would have the means to at least apply those emulation technology with the PS5. If the PS5 is really that so powerful of a computer, why not input those emulation software for the PS1, PS2 emulation right now? Ang ganda ng medyo gumaganda ng emulation software emulation for the PS2.
Even with PS3.
Even without the emotion disk, the emotion system, and the PS3. nagkakaroon na rin ng breakthrough with that.
Well, to break it to you,
Why not up those things?
To break it to you, even on the PS4, they already had a PlayStation 2 emulator built into the core to the firmware of the PS4. They just didn't enable it, and a lot of the modders, soft modders, found about it kasi dahil sa logs at sa mga headers ng header files dun sa SDK, and then sa yan. And then, lo and behold, yun nga, lahat ng mga PS2 games na available sa PSN are actually playable on PlayStation 4. They have the facilities to do it. They have the resources for it. It did cost money for them. Eventually, they came up with the solutions. Ang problema, alam mo ang problema? Marketing. Hindi gusto ng gamers ang backwards compatibility. Flat out. Even with Xbox One, only 0.8% used of the user base used the feature. I'm one of those 0.8%, and it's hard to think na konti lang tayo para ilang daang tao lang tayo nagba-backwards compatibility sa Xbox One. So why enable it? Why commercialize it if no one's going to buy it anyway? If it's gonna cost more people to build the website and maintain the listing for backwards compatible software, diba? Tapos not to mention, you have to license all these backwards compatible games, right?
And to add to that point, all of us, to all of you guys who are listening and watching us live, most of us here in the panel, we are also game collectors as well. And to add to that point that I mentioned, I already have a PS3, backwards compatible with the PS1 and 2. Tito Jobs has a PS3, backwards compatible with the PS1 and PS2. However, we still, at some point, bumili pa rin kami ng PS2 console and PS1 console. So, the mere idea na if you already have the PS3 that can play the PS1 and PS2 games, bakit ka pa bumili ng bakit ka pa bumili ng another PS1 console? Meron ako. Ba't pa ako bumili ng PS2 console? Kabibili ko lang.
Wala, iba utak ng mga collectors eh.
So,
Exactly, I agree.
Hindi tayo gamers eh.
Dito papasok yung
Hoarders tayo, mga kamote tayo eh.
yung mga kamoteng collectors, dito papasok yung mentality namin na of course, we know it's backwards compatible. However, there's still the edge of playing your games with the original console that it came with it in the first place.
Yeah.
So, Ito Jobs.
Sinasabi ko lang kasi, ang collector's mindset kasi, it's shiny, I wanna buy it.
Right?
Pitasan tayo ng pitas eh.
Sabi ni Mamo Chu, sounds more of a promotion for their PS Store. Sabi naman ni Maynard, in regards to the Frankenstein PS5, mukha daw siyang R2D2. Madami siyang game ports. Magagamit lang din yung backwards compatibility if meron ka ng latest console kaysa bumili ka ng sinundan. Mas tipid lalo na sa mga hindi collectors. And Coffee Break PH mentioned here, welcome to the show. Di po ako gamer, pero napadalo lang dito. Uncle Phillips and Jeff, shout out. And,
shout out. Woo! Thank you for supporting Coffee Break PH.
We can use the word pala.
Sabi naman ni Maynard ulit, if hindi ako collector, sabi ni Maynard, if hindi ako collector, meron akong Wii U. Kesa bumili ako ng Wii console, bili na lang ako ng Wii games. Right? So, anything else that you want to add in regards to backwards compatibility, RV?
Okay na ako.
RPG, anything else to add?
Siguro ang whole point lang ng... No.
Sorry, go.
Siguro ang whole point lang ng feature ng backwards compatibility is para hindi ka na maglipat-lipat ng mga ports. Alam mo yun, kung may PS3 game ka, saksak mo na lang. Kung may PS2 ka, saksak mo na lang sa isang console. So I guess that's the whole viewpoint lang ng having that. Pero syempre as being collectors of the game of certain games and so on. Siyempre, mas prefer natin yung merong console, yung PS1 ko na paborito kong game na magma-match. So, yun lang.
All right. So before we end up we wrap up this topic, Tito Jobs, anything else to add in regards to this issue?
Tuwala ako sa sinabi ni Maynard Belmonte na if di ako collector, meron akong Wii U, kesa bumili ako ng Wii console, bili na lang ako Wii games. Actually, the Wii U is one of the most fantastic consoles out there because it's backwards compatible with the Wii. You can actually unlock it to play with GameCube, and you also have the Wii, the virtual console inside, so you could play NES, SNES, Game Boy, and also DS games in it, di ba? Sobrang panalo ng Wii U.
All right. So, thank you for the panel for their insights in regarding the backwards compatibility. And tulad na sabi, we have different opinions in regards to backwards compatibility on why there's a need for it, why there's no need for it. So, we're moving on to another topic in relation to backwards compatibility and console modding and game modding. This is game piracy or game bootlegging, no matter what you slice it. In regards to gaming piracy, as far as I can remember, and remember in this context, yung Famicom games, I really didn't know at that time na bootleg pala yung mga nare-receive nating Famicom games na nabibili dati sa Uniwide, sa Circuit City, sa Abenso, sa Evergotesco, sa mga retail shops. Akala ko lang as long as bumili ako noon, I think mga 200, 300, 500 yata mga bala noon. Once na binili mo na yun, you will put it on your family computer and then that's it. Hindi issue sa'yo whether it's fake or not. And then, when PS1 hit, at the time, akala ko pa na, I didn't really even know that it was bootleg still. It was not only until PS2 na nalaman ko na, oh my God, it's a thing pala. Bootlegging games pala is a thing because of the advent of CD writers and CD writers and CD burners and DVD burners. So, I'm asking the panel here, what are their opinions in regards to gaming piracy? Let's start with Sir John.
Well, for me, yun nga, kamukha nung nasabi ko kanina, bigla ako yung una eh. For me, si piracy nga, I won't condone to piracy. Yun, yes, plastic. Pero kasi, it's more of like, yun nga, kanina nung na-discuss natin about some modding, there are certain games na talagang I need and I will buy originally, and especially with the advent of Steam. Like for me, yung Assassin's Creed na series ko, ngayon right now I'm just waiting for Valhalla to yung price na mag-come down, which is siguro it would take a few months, but I've always had naman mga discounts sa Uplay. I'm just waiting for it na medyo magkaroon ng parang discount or Steam sale or whatever. Pero for me, piracy will always be piracy, especially yun din sa mga retro games, emulators. Diba? There's been this thing, yung mga issue with like yung all-in-ones na emulation box that's been coming out, mga China rip-offs. Sabihin na there's this one console that allows you to play iba-ibang platforms. Nakikita ko yun sa mga unboxing sa YouTube eh. And then there's always the licensing issue of those games eh, diba? What's this emulator na allows you to emulate arcade games?
MAME.
Yeah, MAME, and then another one pa, yung mga maraming multi, ano siya.
Oh my God.
Na meron siya sa PS4. We covered this eh. We covered this.
Yung parang mukha siyang XBME.
Anyway, basta yun, yung ano na yun. And then, anong nangyayari, like the China rip-offs, they're trying to strap this in the all-in-one solution. Parang, like the media boxes that we have, and then they're gonna sell it commercially. Of course, there's always gonna be a license. Yeah, RetroArch. Yes, that's it. RetroArch. Yes. So, di ba, yung licensing issues niyan, and then kasi Siguro okay siya in a sense na if you're gonna do it for your your self personal use, but yung for
Self-pleasure.
self pleasure or gratification, din naman tayo. Pero as far as you going out making a commercial product and then selling it to the public without even trying to think of paying back dun sa developers, that's kind of off. Yun naman talaga yun eh. Piracy will always be piracy. We don't condone that. We won't promote that to the scene. And as far as kay Sir RBG kanina, ganun din ako minsan eh. For me to try out the game, yes, try out plastic. Try out the game, tapos, pero if I see it that, try out the game, natapos na pero hindi binili. Pero hindi binili. Pero I did that with Resident Evil 2. Sa sobrang atap ko siya na lumabas. Pero actually, hindi, binili ko siya. Deluxe Edition Resident Evil 2 Remake. I bought that. Only to find out a week later, lumabas na yung crack version niya. But the thing is, I downloaded the crack, pero I bought that legitimately because the crack bypasses the de novo protection, which tanks the performance on PC. A lot of people are doing that. Assassin's Creed Origins, very prone to the de novo issue, yung slowdowns. Kinompare ko yung performance niya sa benchmarks. If you apply the crack, which bypasses the connection na kailangan lagi kang connected kay Uplay, may mga certain frames na nag-i-improve sa issues. So yun for me, yun yung take ko doon. Piracy is always piracy. We don't condone it. I won't encourage you to do it. And if you void the warranty of your console, like kanina sinasabi ni Tito Jopes, kasi diba dadating talaga, it's a contract. Kanina gusto kong intervene yan eh. When you buy a brand new PlayStation 5 Xbox console, it's stipulated in your terms eh. Kahit na sabihin mong you bought that, but if you circumvent the system, you reverse engineer it, you modify it in any way, you violate yung terms of ni Microsoft, sir. They can ban your ass and then kung ano mangyari, it's in their terms. I get that often eh. Why did you ban me? Makita mo sa niya, he connected with a hack console on Xbox Live. Wala na yun, auto yun eh. No contest.
Ban.
I have to augment lang yung sinabi niya. The company can do anything that they want on connectivity of the console, whether you can connect to the network or not. But they cannot sue you for money for hacking your boxes because once you bought the box, it's your property already.
Mm-hmm.
Na-resolve na siya na isang court case with Sony versus a suspect or and then there's also like this case between iPhone versus a jailbreaker. So all of those cases were in favor of the jailbreaker or the hacker of the device. Kasi once you have the physical device, it's already yours. So kahit sabihin natin ibuting-tingin niya at i-reverse engineer niya yun, as long as you're not using it for profit purposes, you're still allowed to do that. Pero once you sell the services,
that's a different
story. Yeah. So parang it's like you're opening up Sony's or Apple's
Gates of Hell.
Intellectual properties. Yun na naman yun.
All right. Wow. Thank you, sir, kay Sir John and Tito Jokes for that rebuttal. RV, some people say na nakatulong ang piracy in some way para mabuhay mag-drive ang PS1. However, it's one of the main reasons why the Dreamcast died. What say you about game piracy?
Ayan. This is the example of the infamous players. Ayan. I still have it. I got this from year 1999 when I was high school. If I'm not mistaken, I bought this on Marketplace. Back before then. Marketplace in Mandaluyong. Before they promote piracy, because most of the games that they're selling, yung mga original, sells at a ridiculous price, mga around 3,000, 5,000. So, ayun, for me before, wala akong idea nun during that time. I was high school back then. So, ako, simple lang din kaligayahan ko, mabili ko lang itong mga bootlegs na to, okay na ako dun. But as time goes by, until I've grown up, then I bought my own units, PS units, PS3. Na-realize ko na I don't I don't want to promote piracy kasi yung genuinity ba nung games iba talaga eh. Yung piracy kasi it really depends on how you can use it. Ako personally, I still doing bootlegs because I want my original copies of my PlayStation games to be preserved, and I want my backup games to be loaded on my units. So ano lang for preservation. So for me, I don't want to promote it. As I said, for personal reasons, I want to use my backup copies as I want to preserve my original ones. So, yun yung thoughts ko regarding game piracy.
All right. Thank you, RV. Tito, Sir, Tito tuloy. Sir Phillips, Filipinos are not very particular in regarding with their software, and gaming piracy hindi lang naman naging limited with their games, pati na rin ang movies. So, would you rather consider having the availability versus the affordability of it all, or would you rather still stick with the original?
Ako stick ako with the original. Ako, honestly, against ako sa piracy. The only thing that's why it's happening here in the Philippines. Kasi ang daming parang restrictions eh. Hindi lang naman sa games eh, pati sa music and sa movies eh. Di ba? For example na lang, non-gaming related, pero yung mga series na pinapanood natin, di ba? Yung mga anime, ganon, hindi siya available readily in the Philippines eh. Kaya mo siya dina-download, di ba? Tino-torrent. Kasi gusto mo siya mapanood
Torrent,
and then
yes.
hindi siya available. And then ganun din naman sa games, yung mga, for example, like yung kapatid ko, nilaro niya yung Tales of Vesperia yata yun. Eh, hindi pa siya translated. Nagtatrabaho na yun. He's a lawyer and then he can afford original games. Pero hindi available yung English version dito sa or hindi pa available yung translated version ano lang Japanese ano lang yung meron. So napipilitan siyang i-download yung yung fan dub na or fan translated na game na naka-overlay lang yung yung translation. When in fact na alam ko naman, especially dito sa panel na to, most of us can afford kung meron original. Eh pero nung PS1, PS2 days, di ba? Ako nga rin, di rin ako aware na pirated and modded na pala yung mga pinag-google
Right.
sa akin ng Circuit City.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Circuit City condones to piracy.
We don't condone piracy as long as we don't know it.
Oh!
Yan.
Pero sabi nila,
Alright,
the sense of the law is
Ayun po, okay. Oh. Legal talk.
Tama.
I-consult na mo.
Ihuli ko si Tito Jobs because I think he has a lot of things to say about this. Let's go with RPG Silagan first.
especially
RPG.
yung parent ko pala is taga-DTI kaya
Nako!
Alam na. Alam na.
Taga-DTI pala.
Disclaimer lang po sa mga taga-DTI. RPG Silagan.
retired na si mommy.
In regards naman sa piracy, people would argue the hypocrisy of it all na sasabihin na lang na nung mga bata tayo, we take what we get. Whatever it is available at the time, we'll just buy it as it is, as long as we're getting what we want, as long as we play what we want. If it's readily there, we don't have to pay for it as much buying the original. Are you one of those people at the time nung panahon yung elementary high school ka pa, during the time of PS1, PS2 bootlegging?
Oo, definitely. Kasi, alam mo, dati wala akong pera palagi. Alam mo, baon ko magkano lang, tapos may mga parentahan. Alam
Dati
mo,
lang yun. Ngayon.
yes, siguro that's why I'm really crazy about collecting when I started working and earning money. Because looking back in the days that you cannot afford those games na binibil mo lang pirate. So, iba na yung feeling na nowadays as compared to noon. So, I just wanted to add dun, alam mo dati, na-remember ko lang back in 2000, yung sinabi mo, Jo, about yung mga games na akala mo original. Alam mo, back in the year 2000, wala lang siyang manual. Pero yung case at CD, talagang replicated siya back in the days. Tandaan ko
Right?
pala sa... Exactly. So,
Totoo yan.
madidistinguish mo lang yung pirated kapag mabusisi ka, titingnan mo yung PlayStation
Loob.
logo, kung may
Yeah.
manual siya, yung mga ganyan.
Yung
So,
Itim yung likod. Unique yung likod.
oo. Tapos, pero ako kasi, I'm the type of collector na very specific lang ako sa genre. Kasi like for me, like I mentioned from the previous podcast na I'm only into survival horror and kids games. So it's because one of the reasons why medyo ano lang kasi magastos. Magastos. Ang daming grand genre. May survival horror, may RPG, may ganon. So I have to be practical on my part. Na I don't buy all the games na sikat. I only buy games na specific to what I like. So it's survival horror. I'll buy it. I'm crazy about those types of games. Kids games na I haven't played in the past. Nung bata pa ako, na I'm reminiscing mga games from the PS1. So and when it comes to piracy naman with music, some CD musics, especially for other collectors, kasi I used to collect CDs. I'm a new waiver. I'm into, so I'm not magkakalabas ng mga
New
edad natin.
wave.
Pero I'm into 80s. There are some
New
CDs
waiver.
na, 80s music. So, there are some CDs na, music CD that's around 2,000, 3,000 in value. So, I come to realize na, may YouTube, meron namang torrent, why would I buy? Well, it come to that
Napster.
point na, it come to that point na, why would I buy something so expensive when I can easily access it somewhere else, someplace else. Pero I know it's illegal, pero no one's getting after me for doing it. So
Right?
Remember
I do it.
LiveWire? Yun. Back
All
on
right.
the day.
Thank you.
Alam
Thank
niyo
you
ako
for that.
susumbong niyo guys.
Ginastify eh.
All right. Thank you for that, RPG Slagan. Sabi ni Mamochu, piracy helped our childhood to explore. Ngayon, passion na siya. So we give back by paying a full price. In regards to what he said, Tito Jokes, gaming
I
piracy,
agree.
what
Ang ganda ng
it
pagkasabi.
did to the gaming industry as a whole. Kasi, tulad sinabi ni Mamochu, sige, sa ngayon we are able, we are paying the price. We are paying the price for the original games. But, saan napupunta yung mga pera na yun? As if naman na yung mga binibili nating original games sa good developers pa rin naman napupunta. So what say you in regards to its long-term effects in the gaming industry?
Yun nga, actually, so, unahin ko muna sa piracy in general. Siyempre ako, I'm not also a supporter of piracy per se because it's intellectual property breach.
Mhm.
So, hindi dapat natin siya ginagawa. Illegal siya talaga, whether in US or in the Philippines. Second, when you do backup of your own copies, you only use it for yourself. You don't distribute or sell it to other people. Kasi even the copying of the act of copying the file for your backup is also illegal because according to the Intellectual Property Act sa US at saka sa Philippines, bawal kang mag-replicate or mag-reproduce ng copy ng mga optical media software.
Yeah.
So bawal 'yon. Bawal talaga siya. Third, if you're buying second-hand, kasi yung lagi ko narinig, ito yung tanong mo kanina. So, pag bumibili ka ng second-hand, sinasabi sa akin ng mga tao, ang dami yung mga anti-piracy kunwari, pero pag bumibili ba kayo ng second-hand, nakakatulong ba siya sa developers? Meron kasi tinatawag na parang burden of purchase kasi. So, yung idea of burden of purchase is pag binili mo dun sa bumili originally yung second-hand na yun, nasa yun na yung burden of purchase. Not to mention, if for example, ako yung sumalo nung item whether kung mas mahal man siya or mas mura, the fact that nagsi-circulate yung physical copy means nakaka-affect siya ng mas maraming people or eyes thinking that this game is really good. Yun yung nangyari sa Suikoden 2. Suikoden 2 was really printed like very limited lang ang print ng Suikoden 2 sa US. And yet there's a huge movement right now asking Konami to either re-release or remake,
Remaster.
Siguro hindi mo na siya ma-remaster kasi timeless na yung UI, yung mismong look niya eh. Pero remake the game or probably make another sequel of the game for these gamers who just became fans of Suikoden 2. I for one has just become a fan of Suikoden because of my collecting. So ano yan eh, sa economics kasi merong ano yan eh, may ano siya yung may 10,000 kasi ginawa na kay yung may sinabi sila last year, yung stimulus checks kunwari. But sa meron ka ability to pay something, meron yung malaking trickling effect sa economy. So the fact that you can purchase something siguro yung mas mahal na copy like Valkyrie Profile or yung mga Suikoden 2 na ganyan, di ba? Pucha, nakita ko yung Suikoden 2. Suikoden 2 is like 20,000 na. So yung paano nangyari yun? 20,000 pesos na siya. So, syempre, a lot of people will say, okay, let's pirate Suikoden 2 anyway. Pero yun yan, dahil na sa fan base na nabuo na, not even just today, but also nung umpisa pala, nagkaroon ng push ko namin na i-push yung Suikoden 2 sa PSN, which you can also pay legally right now for $5 and play Suikoden 2. Diba? You don't need to remaster, you don't need to, it's a very timeless game. You just buy it. Or, push people or developers to create new games that kind of resemble the same gameplay or the same stories, which happened to Ayuden Chronicles, di ba? So ang daming effect niyan eh kapag tinatangkilik mo yung game, whether second hand or first hand mo siyang binili.
Right. Sabi rito, how about kung streamer ka, tapos pirated ang mga games na ginagamit mo?
Two things.
Would you consider that as a piracy?
Two things to illegal, to be honest, ang streaming is illegal according to Hog Law. Hindi ka dapat talaga nagpe-present or nagpapakita ng gaming content over the internet kasi that's presentation to a public forum. That's also part of the Intellectual Property Act. Kung wala kang permission to do that, then hindi ka talaga pwedeng gumawa na. Although, recently, napapansin kasi ng mga game publishers na it's a good free
promotion,
PR or
advertisement
para sa mga tao hindi pa alam yung genre. So like for example, when we do streams, well, I mean technically it's illegal, but people are allowing publishers are allowing us to do that kasi I mean that's a driving force to increase their sales eventually. So ganun din mangyayari kapag kunwari nag-stream ka, legal, tapos nag-stream ka, illegal pa rin siya, technically, pero inaalo ng publisher. Pag illegal, na nakakuha mo yung kopya, as in pirate siya, tapos pinasend pa sa
double Jho-RPG.
Double dead yun, di ba? Parang baboy yan double dead, di ba? Paano ma-reduce yung dead doon? Hindi ko alam. Bahala. Kaya ako personally, if you're streaming pero free lang naman, wala ka namang kinikita sa stream mo, maybe hindi ka hahabulin ng kliyente. But if you're streaming, I know kung may isang streamer na nangyari na to I think he bought
ban on Twitch.
That's a ban siya sa Twitch because he bought something. He didn't buy the game para nag-stream siya pero ang laki ng audience niya. May nangyari na ganyan eh. But
si Twitch pa naman talagang i-investigate ka na
Twitch at YouTube din. So the fact that you didn't buy the game, medyo it feels scummy but wala nang huhuli sa'yo. I don't know if how many people will pursue you. I remember when Cyberpunk was not yet released. Tapos may mga stream na mga tao na they got it from like illegal means like ninakaw sa mga truck na nag-deliver. Remember that? Remember time na yun last year? We were covering that. Illegal pa lang time na yun kasi yung Cyberpunk. So, those streams were taken down. So, they can take it down. Definitely, sa mga streamers. Illegal pa yung means sa pagkakabili nila.
Diba?
Si Nintendo, yeah, yung before the Nintendo Club thing happened, hindi nila inaalaw talaga yung streaming and also YouTube. Unless meron sila 1/3 of your nakita. Pag kumikita ka na sa Twitch or sa Facebook, yun talaga, you have to really feel scummy about yourself because you're earning money out of stealing something. Di ba? Parang it's a personal moral dilemma na lang sa iyo di ba? It's a show of character. Sabi nga nila, character shows when no one is looking at you or no one is observing.
Add to the fact pa na maybe the game that you're streaming, which you pirated, is, maybe baka ano ka pa niya, streamer ka niya or ambassador ka ng game. Pinopromote mo yung game pero pirata yung kopya mo.
I mean, ito, pag streamer ka, tapos nakita mo yung ibang tao ninakaw yung video mo, tapos ginamit sa sarili.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Ano mafe-feel mo?
Yun ang comparable ano niya.
Tapos yung game na ginagamit mo, di ba?
Pinirata.
Pirata rin. So, I mean, we're playing hypocrisy here if that's the case. So ako, I always make it a point that when I stream, I already bought.
So before we wrap up this issue, for me, ang gaming piracy, meron siyang naging pros and cons in regarding the gaming industry as a whole, especially during the late 90s and the early 2000s. Say what you will on the overall effects of what it did in regarding to Sega Dreamcast. It's not enough na sabi natin dahil ang PS2 merong DVD capability and Sega Dreamcast didn't have that one. Gaming piracy also contributed to its demise eventually. But you can also argue na if you're not for the gaming piracy, hindi mo rin masasabing naging patok din ang PS1 and PS2 lalo na sa Pinas.
PlayStation as a brand, yan yung sinabi natin kahapon sa episode eh. Ganun din.
And there's always there's always a loophole in regarding gaming piracy na pwede natin sabihin na as long as you are not commercially selling your copies, that's fine. If you are just using it as a backup, as part of your gaming leisure, then that is fine. But selling it commercially without the legal consent of the game developers, then we're talking about something different entirely. So, anything else that you guys would like to add, Sir Phil?
Yeah. Oo nga, no? Pero, yung kasi parang like nga nung sinabi ko kanina, it's a question of availability sa ating, lalo na dito sa panel eh. Hindi na siya question of kung money na eh, or yung affordability.
Integrity.
Pero kasi nga, at least yung piracy noon, di ba, binentahan tayo ng piracy na wala tayong pirated copies na wala tayong kaalam-alam. It opened our eyes, no? Parang yung piracy nga yung naging gateway natin para maging
legit
gamer tayo. Eh. No?
Right. RPG Silagan, anything else that you would like to add in this issue?
Ako just play what you love and if you're hindi kasi medyo broad yung discussion when it comes to that eh. So I myself feel guilty of using pirated contents, mga pirated na games. So yeah, pero when you're passionate about something, why go into piracy, di ba?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. That is correct. That's a legitimate point. RV, anything else that would you like to add?
Yun, I was wondering, kasi before, kahit wala pa yung hindi pa nauso yung mga CD-based na meron tayong tinatawag na cassette, VHS, but they already have piracy on that, di ba? Pero bakit yung time na yun, parang
Wala lang.
siya big deal, di ba? As you can see, there are some, ako personally, dati pagka nagre-record ako, when my father used to work in Qatar, then I sent audio recordings using cassette recorder, then I send it to me. Parang hindi naman din na notice yung piracy regarding doon. As well as copying original cassette tape from the blank tapes, di ba? So
Yeah.
hindi siya parang nagiging issue before para sa akin. Parang ito lang back from 90s to 2000s doon lang until pumasok si OMB. Ayun.
Yeah. Sina Ronnie Ricketts. Sina Edo Manzano.
So,
Sir Tito Jobs, anything else that you would like to add?
Can I answer yung kay RV? Alam mo bakit hindi siya big deal ng 80s and 70s? Because yung 80s and 70s, bumibili talaga yung mga tao ng music nila. When it came to the 90s, andyan na yung Napster, andyan na yung speed ng internet. So
Right.
hindi nila makontrol yung flow ng
Media exchange.
bootleg copies ng mga media. So, syempre, laws have to be implemented kasi gumagalaw ang panahon, nagbabago ang batas.
That's correct.
That's the reason why you have to follow the law still. Big deal siya kasi mas lalo marami nawawalang pera. Kasi imbes na maka-reach ka ng maraming bibiling tao, kumukonti yung base mo na bumibili ng tao kasi things can be easily pirated. Noong 90s at saka 2000s na. May internet na kasi.
Alright. Thank you for that, Tito Job. So before we will let Sir John read out their their ad commercials ng kanilang show, we were going to end our topic our show for tonight. Napaka-engaging, napaka-maganda ang discussion and exchange of ideas natin in regards to our three topics for tonight. So we will just do one quick promotions on each and everyone here in this panel. RPG Silagan, where can they contact you?
RPG Gaming
Sino na
is
hintuan?
closed. Pero
FB, YT.
PS2 Collectors Philippines. Sa FB page yan. With
Alright.
RV Lagayt Ramos and Sir Celso Claudio and James Espiritu. Yan.
Alright.
Hopefully we can have them join then.
Abangan natin yan kung ma-invite natin sila next time. RV, where can they catch you?
Yeah, they can reach me to sa Facebook. Yan, of course, PS2 group, PS2 Philippines, together with RPG Silagan and Celso Claudio. So they can reach me. And, kung meron silang questions regarding sa PS2 related. Yun lang.
All right. And syempre, of course, our wonderful guest for tonight, for being such a good sport and in their wonderful insights in regard to our topic discussions for tonight, ang crew of Hype Control, Tito Jobs, Sir Phillips, and Sir John. So, Sir John, Sir Phil, where can they catch you?
Yeah, you can find me sa Facebook and YouTube, Uncle Phillips, PHILIPPS, or via sa page ni Tito Jobs.
All right. Tito Jobs, where can they find you?
You can find me at my house, 1018. Joke.
From 9 to 5?
You can find me at my page at Tito Jobs. That's fb.gg/Tito Jobs. No space, no capital, no anything. So Tito Jobs lang. You can also find me at instagram.com/Tito Jobs, and also at twitch.com/Tito Jobs. Next.
Alright. And syempre, ang pinaabangan nating radio DJ, si Sir John.
Yes, sir. Bale, I have a page. It's called v.1786. I'm reachable through Facebook's, Twitter, and Instagram. Same handler po lahat. That's VII.1786. So Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can always find me with the Hype Squad sa Hype Control ni Tito Jobs. Yan.
Alright.
Mula
Isang sample
ako
nga
1996,
dyan.
birthday mo yan.
Yes, birthday. Very obvious.
Very
Yes,
obvious.
last century pa.
Yes, sir.
Isang pasample nga in regards to your Hype Control for the sake of those fans out there na hindi pa familiar sa inyong show.
Yeah.
Sa mga
Yes.
bigatan na ad. Go!
So, ano yun? Like, mag-sponsor.
yung usual nyo. Pati sponsors na rin. Go!
So, yes, friends, for those who are into gaming, you may follow us through Hype Control and Light Control. We are, by the way, the #1 video games podcast in the Philippines, and Hype Control is backed by Easy PC, Rack Gears, and Game Express, because through the hype of it all, you can always count on Hype Control.
Hype Control, everybody! Alright, ang galing talaga. And of course, Maynard, who is not here, syempre, ang kanyang Facebook page, ang Kaka Komputer Mo Yan. He also hosts his retro gaming live streams, and of course, he also hosts the talk show version of Kaka Komputer Mo Yan. Just search Kaka Komputer Mo Yan sa Facebook page po ni Mr. Maynard Beltran. And on behalf of Kaka Komputer Mo Yan, RV, RPG Silagan, Maynard Beltran, this is Joe from Wakalas Productions. We would like to say thank you so much for being here. We will see you next time, next week, dito sa Kaka Komputer Mo Yan. Alright.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.